Let's get started.
Here we go. Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this. Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live, yo.
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
For the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
Experience.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar.
Welcome to the party.
And Simon.
Good evening.
Good evening. What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. There were new patrons. Kamar, there were new patrons. You're going to go over them.
Oh, what's that?
Bike Maker's back.
Correct. Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. This is the part where we shout out the Patreons, old and new. Sign up, hit that like button, leave a comment. It helps with the algo. Keep the rhythm going.
The algorithm. Feel the algorithm.
And if you can't do that, join the Patreon for the post show, which we do directly after this show, live. I think someone's pulling a prank on us. Big shout out to Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
Bob Ross is dead. So it would be quite the prank.
And then I got a shout out to iPoppy.
What up, iPoppy?
iPoppy.
And Bob Ross. What about Bike Maker? They were back.
And a shout out to Ethan Curry.
Ethan
Curry. Thank
Simon
you, Ethan.
Simon doesn't care for Ethan.
Simon doesn't care for anything today.
Tom Dent.
There's many new ones?
Many new patrons?
Shout out
This
to
doesn't
Tom.
feel
Shout out
right.
to all
Thank
of
you,
you.
Tom. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, I knew it'd blow you. It's
Where's
crazy.
this bike maker he keeps talking about?
Oh, and Bike Maker.
Yeah, Jesus. At least someone's on top
No.
of it. Shout out to Bike Maker.
Thank you, Bike
Best
Maker.
name, too,
I thought he. Oh no, that was Bob Ross. Anyways, thank
Why
you to
is that
all the
such a great name?
Patreons.
Mike Baker. Bike Maker.
Gotcha. It's
Mike Baker, the Bike
this
Maker.
happened before.
Baker the bike maker. That's interesting.
Kamar, do you want to go over the guests so we can start this bad boy off?
I'd love to, Matt. Thanks for asking. We start off the week with 2117, Ray Kurzweil.
Sometimes I feel like he should be, the dummy on like infomercials.
Dummy.
Yeah, you know how they always have the salesperson
Oh,
and the
the-
dummy
the
beside them that's like,
patsy, yeah,
how do
yeah.
I crack an egg? But I always get them it. Yeah, Kamar's that guy.
And then we followed that up with 2018, the Black Keys. 2119, James Lindsay. And because there was 4 this week, 2120, that Mexican OT.
Louis Vuitton umbrella when I walk through the rain in the kitchen whipping chicken got a bread like Cain. Need deep muddy waters.
I'll jump right in and give the week a 4.
That's impossible. Am I crazy, Simon? Is what he's saying impossible?
Well, I mean, his ratings never make any sense. So.
I mean, listen, I hate to bury the lead, but like Kurzweiler is a fucking 1. So how you give that thing?
Kurzweil is, but the topic isn't.
That's not how we do this. The whole episode stunk. The whole episode stunk.
I think the week gets a 2, a pretty solid 2.
You're right, Matt. That's
across
not
the
how we
board.
do this.
Some shows brought down the curve, some shows pushed up the curve, and
I mean, come on, I'll give it a 3.
There you go.
maybe a 2.5.
And that wasn't
like
even, that wasn't
2
even
is-
heavy lifting.
2.5. Fine. I'll meet you somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, 2 is egregious. It
But
wasn't that
4,
bad.
No.
I mean, the Black Keys are a
2
standing
is
5.
close to what you said. 4 is egregious.
And we actually got the Black Keys. It felt like the other guy was kind of present this time.
Black
wasn't
Eyed
just,
Keys.
it wasn't the Black
that,
Key.
That was my first note. Funny you say that. So we all give our ratings then: a 4, a 3, and a 2.
2. He went 2.5. Yeah.
Charitable.
Realistic, I think, was what you wanted to say.
You're lucky he didn't go like 2.38748.
That's true.
We'll kick it off with 2118, the Black Keys, and he was present.
The Black Eyed Keys.
Dan Auerbach. And
That'd be a
Patrick
good
Carney.
crossover band. They get like Fergie to join the
Yeah.
group just for one album.
Yeah, I like that.
Call it the Black Eyed Keys.
I cannot agree with Joe more that, I mean, he talks about this with Mexican OT, but he's a comedian. Like, He wants to be and like, oh, I'm shy or whatever, or he just got too much responsibility to stop and do stand up, but he loves it and he's good at it.
Don't you know the old saying? It's like every rock star wants to be a comedian. Every comedian wants to be a rock star.
But not all are.
No, yeah.
Some rock stars try to be funny, but
he reminded me a lot of myself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Just like funny,
Just
but
funny
not
off the cuff.
trying
Yeah,
to be funny, and could be a comedian, but has no interest in pursuing.
Yeah. He's
the
just
art,
too funny
you
to
know?
care. Yeah.
One of those guys.
Yeah. Just writing for people in the
A
background.
Renaissance man.
Yeah.
So, you guys know mushrooms, you can get them. And last week in the post, Joe, exclusively to the Patreon, we talked about how they've proved acid or LSD.
You guys know that mushrooms, you can get them, right? This is like the greasy guy that like, hangs out around a school. Yeah. Sorry, keep going, Kumar. Yeah, what about mushrooms? You can get them.
And then we did a story on the post, Joe, exclusively for the Patreon, about how LSD is now being approved by the FDA to cure anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Now they started off talking about that, and I'm sure they have had before the Chaos book with our friend Greg Fitzsimmons. Everything's a conspiracy now, but that was about the banning
of LSD,
of psychedelics.
Yeah.
So it really is that's got to be a marker of a point. All that policy that went towards it, excluding cocaine or that argument of full legalization.
Manson really is like on a tiny little scale. Osama bin Laden. Like it's just another example of how the Americans bring in like frogs and then bring in the cat to catch the frog. You know what I'm saying? They train maybe I'm not being specific enough. They train Manson to be this cult guy, to badmouth the peace movement that's happening. But he's such a psychopath in himself that he orchestrates this whole other thing on the side because he's interested in getting his music done. And then when they snub him, like that's the house they go back to. The actress,
that's not part of the mission. That's it. By the way,
the actress and whatever her name is,
Sharon Tate.
Yeah,
they're there after Brian Wilson leaves that house.
Yeah,
Manson doesn't know that. He goes back. He sends them in to kill Brian Wilson, I assume, and then not Brian Wilson, the other Wilson,
the CIA.
brother. And then I wonder. I'm sorry, Kumar. Just 1 second. Then I wonder. Was Brian Wilson so depressed because of something that happened there? And then maybe the guilt that, because he goes into like this weird...
Lying
from
in
the
bed.
Beach Boys?
Yeah, and he stays in his room for like 10 years.
That's the other one.
No, that's Brian Wilson.
Oh, he's still alive then. Brian Wilson's still alive.
Don't you remember the Bare Naked Ladies song?
Oh, of course, that's why he's
lying
Wilson.
in bed, just
you.
like Brian.
Of course he is.
Wilson
He's still alive.
Yeah.
There's the other Dennis Wilson.
That's
was
the
a
brother.
crazy part. He was a more attractive kid. Brian's the genius part.
Brian is...
So that's why he's so fucked up.
The other Wilson, Dennis, is the one who was hooked up with Manson.
Mm-hmm.
And he would bring Manson by his house where Brian lived. And Brian was like, saw everything happening, but I don't think was involved, or maybe was.
He was always a bit of a weirdo. And I say that in the kindest way.
I say that in the most nail painted of ways.
But the CIA was just like they wanted to use Manson to discredit the hippies. That was just an added bonus that he went out long and did that. This exceeded what they thought would happen.
I think it got totally out of control on them personally.
Because all the thing I could think about is remember that you never hear it anymore because it just sounds like witchcraft, but brainwashing. They were brainwashed. That is a thing. Like
the Moonies,
like Atlantis.
Like Atlantis.
Someone just didn't make up Atlantis. Maybe you don't think, but we think from somewhere way back it survived.
Well, it comes from Plato,
to be talked about.
who comes from
on.
Pliny the Elder or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't they think Atlantis is in the middle of Africa or on the western?
No, the guy came in. He told you it's wherever that. I don't remember where that was. Yeah, somewhere in Africa, I think.
Yeah, on the western tip of Africa.
The eye of whatever.
Anyway, I don't see why it's like Atlantis. Or you were talking about
Yeah,
brainwashing.
sorry,
Brainwashing. You used to hear it. I mean,
the Moonies.
Someone did just make up the word.
Remember the Moonies? I think Joe talked about it in one of the
It's
episodes.
a term for something that was done. and it's been
Yeah.
mind control.
What? I'm so okay. Anyway, so brainwashing, the Moonies used to, that was the whole thing. You would get like sucked in by this cult, and then there were these people who would go in and like they were called deprogrammers, and they'd kidnap you back from the Moonies, and then they'd bring you to this place and try and like get you out of the cultiness. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Somebody up at our cottage, their kid got caught in the Moonies thing, and they hired one of these people to go get them. It's so weird.
That's
man.
very
Yeah.
interesting. The Moonies.
Yeah.
What else you got, Kumar?
Moonies.
If what they says is true about Guns N' Roses doing the spaghetti incident, just so it's all covers, so any band on there gets their publishing or whatever. That's a really cool thing. If that's what he thought that album was.
Why would you want to make less money, though? That's the interesting thing.
Make less money what? All those punk songs were not selling. If Guns N' Roses puts them out, then they all sell on that album. And every band that was
Yeah,
on
but
that
it means
album
less money for you.
as Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be altruistic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very interesting. It's not often that if that was the case.
But it'd be like I'm trying to think. If I guess it does happen though. If Kanye uses a sample from a song from the 40s,
He pays the shit.
and it's already happening. I guess that's nothing.
I told you,
special.
there's a very famous story in hip hop where that Pharaoh Monch song, Simon Says, "Get the fuck up." Simon Says, "Get the very beginning."
No.
That's Godzilla. That bum 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 bum. And
Bump,
they-
bump,
Bum 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 bum
bump,
bum bum bum.
bum. Oh yeah.
So that whole thing is sampled from the original Godzilla, and they never cleared that sample. And whatever company owned it ended up coming and suing the fucking shit out of Raucous Records. And the Raucous Records is one of the best '90s hip hop labels, and they went out of business.
They all went out of business.
No, they didn't all go. Def Jam's in business.
They all got acquired. Def Jam isn't owned by some conglomerate.
Yeah, it's probably Def Jam Universal. I assume.
I sort of felt like he bagged on the Guns N' Roses, and the Joe was like, "Well, I met him. He's a nice guy." And
Was he on?
Axl Rose?
Yeah.
No.
He wasn't on.
No,
Rogan?
Joe met him in Greece with Brian
Yes.
Murarescu.
the Immortality Key.
They saw him at a restaurant, and then they approached him. I guess Brian Murarescu had already approached him, and then Joe went up and was like, "Listen, I'm actually famous," and then they got free tickets.
I felt like he also sort of bagged on the Chili Peppers.
Oh, good. The Chili Peppers stink.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's rare, like for anyone to. It's not throwing shade, but
You don't think the Chili Peppers stink?
I'm not their biggest fan, but I hate when Under the Bridge is one of the best songs
Oh,
of all time.
no.
Yeah.
It's one of the most shitty songs.
well,
of
great
all
discussion
time.
point.
No.
Yeah,
Couldn't
it's
disagree
awesome.
Oh,
with
I
you more.
hate it.
What
I
was
hate
what was
it.
going on in
you
your
hate
life?
music.
What was going on in your life?
I will smack the shit out of you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm
It'll
fast
take
as
me
fuck,
2
boy. I'm
seconds.
fast as fuck, boy.
It's terrible. And Californication, terrible.
Do you- no,
They're
I
didn't say
fucking
Californication.
They're terrible.
Why are you bringing up Californication?
I don't know. I just wrote
said
in
Under
another
the Bridge.
shitty
No,
song by the fucking
no. It's not
Chili
shitty.
Peppers.
It's just you forget that song was on our radio. The coolest song right now is not on the radio.
Under the Bridge had Rick
It
Rubin's
just played too
juices
much.
all
It just
over
played
it.
too much.
No, Under the Bridge is incredible.
I disagree. We'll agree to disagree.
That's fine.
You could show me a better song. It's
I didn't
not
say it's the best song.
I didn't say I did.
No, I just find them so obnoxious. I find everything about them obnoxious. I don't find their music very good.
Yeah,
Time and
again,
place, time and place.
I am not gonna sit here and tote the Chili.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
saying
won't
that
fight for
one
them. I won't
song.
fight for them.
Like if you want to say Mother's Milk was good, maybe I'll agree with that. That album has a little more like
Yeah,
I'm not talking
legitimate-
albums.
No, that-
I said
that's
one
cool.
song.
I'm just saying that glimpse of time for the Chili Peppers.
Had they overdosed and died, do you think they're one of your favorite bands?
No,
Okay,
no,
that's all right.
no.
Neither Chili Peppers or Jane's Addiction, right?
I love Jane's Addiction.
Okay, well,
Really, you love
they're the
Jane's
same thing.
Addiction?
Jane's
I hate
Addiction.
the
Jane's
Chili
Addiction was the
Peppers. So
coolest,
weird.
and the Chili Peppers were sort of like the adjacent, trying to be.
If
cool
I
at
was
that
giving
time.
you like my top 10 favorite songs, Jane Says would probably be in that top 10.
So interesting. Like Perry Farrell strikes me as someone who was definitely on the Epstein list.
yeah, judging by
He's
the
a,
cover.
he's a fucking weirdo, but a lot of bands have weirdos as the lead singer. Look at fucking what's his name there from The Cure?
Robert Smith. He's not as creepy as Perry Farrell.
Or no, more what? Morrison.
Morrissey?
Jim Morrison?
The
Smiths?
the Smiths. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he's
Morrissey.
a fucking weirdo
Yeah, he was a
too.
bit of a
man.
weirdo, yeah.
Those are great
You've been
bands.
listening to Morrissey?
My wife likes all that. Kind
Lead singer of Joy Division. Yeah, I know he ended up killing
Another
himself, but he
fucking
was a
weirdo.
fucking weirdo.
Well, I've told you about how Joy Division has created the whole music scene.
Yeah, I saw 24-hour Party People. I know.
Well, you know.
I told you.
Yeah, I told you about a movie I also watched.
It's like when I try and tell you something that we heard on Rogan.
Yeah.
No more. So there's an island. There's an island where monkeys have herpes, and they fly a helicopter to feed them.
Yeah.
Is what he said, and I say,
That's in Texas.
Stop feeding them.
yeah. I say stop.
Yeah, we can
Leave-
just let them
leave it
go.
alone.
Yeah. You're telling me there's this pristine island we could be using?
Maybe they're worried that if they don't feed them, they're
They
going to
start
fucking
swimming out.
swim
Yeah,
over
yeah.
here.
No, it sounds like an open air gain of function.
Which,
like,
by the way,
experiment.
deer, just to give you a little deer update,
Yeah.
they come down, they're drinking at the river.
Yeah.
I'm watching them
Yeah.
drink at the river. Next thing I know, they go into the water. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, they're going swimming. They fucking swam across the river. Just boom, 5 minutes. You know how wide the Ottawa River is?
Yeah.
It's got to be like a kilometer. You know what I mean?
That's
At
crazy.
least. Yeah, it was insane.
It ran through the river, you mean, sort of thing?
I don't think you can touch the bottom.
No, but
Run.
you're saying it
through the-
swam so fast.
Yes, yeah, they swim really fast.
I love that
it
you
was like
so in your mind the deer doesn't even know it's swimming. It's like I'm just running.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Well, no,
just
like
full
mud.
bore. Yeah,
The mud is loose.
I
Way,
mean,
yeah.
it's true. They do swim
degrees.
like that. It's
guess,
not
yeah.
like they start doing doggy
True.
paddle
Yeah.
or
He's on his
breaststroke,
back.
you know?
It's
Got his
just,
head out the wall.
it's a different element.
One of them's doing butterfly.
It's actually lovely this time of year.
Do the breaststroke. You'll conserve energy.
It's probably so healthy for them too. The cold water, little cold plunge.
What a weird thing to say. Oh, the cold plunge. I
Thank
see.
you.
Yeah,
Okay, there we
gotcha.
go. What a weird thing to say. This is the funniest guy in Ottawa. The second funniest guy in Ottawa over here stepping all over my shit jokes.
Someone has. Well, no, they must have the footage of Donald Trump pulling Joe over.
They did. Jamie was looking for it.
They found it?
No, Jamie couldn't find it. I think
No,
Joe
but it-
scrubbed. Joe's
it
like, that's right. I
exists.
scrubbed the internet
Yeah,
of that.
it might have been scrub, but just his telling of I knew he's coming the first time, and I was like, not today. But then the second time, he got me, and he got me. Yeah, that was a really funny story,
That's funny that he does that.
and he humanized.
Shakes your hand and pulls
he,
Such a weird
He
fucking-
humanized. Well, he's big too, eh?
Well, he's like 6'4".
He's big, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I shake people's hand, but then I tickle the inside
Yeah.
of the wrist. You know?
Do you think they have?
I just go like this.
Everyone's suggesting that Joe Biden was on some sort of like
Yeah, but it would
energy drink for the State of the Union.
I believe it?
Okay.
Well, no. Do you remember when he was? Remember during the election, he showed up for that one debate and was just on.
Well, he just told Donald Trump to shut up, and it was like, "You tell him to shut up. We love you."
No, but come on. Even you came in that day and you were like, I was surprised
I
at
said
how
that.
like lucid and there he was. I think they have some doctor that's like, shoot him up with some B12.
But
He's got
is it something that just makes you a Superman, or is it something that is definitely taking off? Like, why wouldn't everyone have access? Or it costs $1 million a cocktail.
It's just that limitless drug, but there's only so much.
Yeah,
of
they only
it,
have
you
8
know?
pills.
They only have 8
Yeah.
pills. We got to use it. We got to
sparingly. Yeah, we got 4 debates coming up. Yeah,
There was crazy talks about pensions and stuff, and we should fuck off at 70
like just die, walk into the river.
or get really high or whatever.
Well, it's like, have you seen one of my favorite movies?
Midsummer. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not as
They
brutal.
make the old people. I was going to say but they want to jump off.
Oh,
the
it's a
cliff.
pleasure. It's everything. It's making
Like
room
they've
for
done their
another.
job, and then they become a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You still haven't seen that movie?
No.
Well, then you're dumb.
No, you
Simon
know,
acts like it came out in 1998,
No,
and I've
you-
just waited
no,
forever.
no,
It's
no,
like
no,
a
no,
4-year-old
It
movie.
came out Midsommar?
Yeah.
No, Midsommar came out in like
10 years ago.
I want to say 2011,
maybe even longer. Everything's longer because the pandemic.
2010 maybe.
But it doesn't even matter if what you told him. You forget where you're at by the time you get to that. You'll know, but it's still
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
The
There's so
experience-
much going on in that movie.
and you love Birdman.
You said it came out when?
2011.
And
I
you
said
said
10 years ago, 2013.
yeah, and I said 4 years ago. It came out 2019.
There's no way Midsommar came out in 2019. Hold on.
No way. 5 years is only that long ago.
He's looking at the wrong thing. He's probably looking at Midsommar
He's right.
2.
He's right. I think that time period is so.
Well, you're forgetting about COVID. It seemed like a 15-year period.
Yes.
So like anything that happened.
No, I said you forget about that, but
Yeah.
it's the other way.
Yeah.
You have to shorten it sometimes. Oh, well, I got served. Someone should do a series of like AI, docos on.
Docos is fucking Aussie.
He was talking about Kelly Clark's
Clarkson's husband.
Get that bag, King.
Britney Spears' husband did it too, didn't he?
So he'd be another episode, and you have, of course, Tom Arnold, and there's gonna be 4 guys with Jennifer Lopez, but just a slew of all those. And it's called Get Your Bag King.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great name.
Yeah. So that
I was gonna say call it like Men Who Won.
I like Get Your Bag King way better.
Yeah, it's better.
well, we'll see if we can use it in good conscience, considering where we got it from, but.
It is great though. I'd love to see like Kevin Federline at the titty bar just splashing Britney Spears' money.
The problem is there's been 3 for Britney. She'd have to have like a 3-part episode.
No, but he said J-Lo too. Like there's
Kevin Federline, the weird guy at the end there who was his manager, and then that dancer.
I think
the annulment doesn't count.
I think the first couple episodes, you might even get an interview with the people. And you go for people who are alive and old who don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, I fucked the bitch. And everyone on the block did too. And really get.
How old do you think the people who fuck Britney Spears are?
No. I'm saying there's,
So he's saying
there's
like
generations.
I
like
see.
Greta Garbo might have a
old-
husband.
Somebody who took money from maybe Meg Ryan. Or,
Not who's Joan Collins? Is that?
Well, that was synonymous when we were
yeah,
young.
that guy with the gray hair.
And
whatever his name
Elizabeth Taylor
is.
was a famous.
Oprah's husband,
Oh, Stedman.
Reginald. Oh, Stedman. That's
Reginald.
Second men. But
No,
yeah,
didn't
Stedman.
they get divorced and he took a ton of cash from her?
They
Get
never
that
got
bag, King.
married. Stedman and Oprah. They were never married. I don't think so. They might have been like common law.
Maybe.
Get that bag, King.
Get that bag, King.
Yeah.
A story old as time, people selling stock. He was talking about there's a guy who worked for Apple
Yeah.
and just got cold feet or whatever and sold.
Yeah.
It was worth $100 million.
I mean, listen, dude, the guy that bought 2 pizzas for what is now worth $915 million worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah. I guess that's the same as all you had to do is hold
Yeah.
and you'd be rich. Apple and Rockstar are so big, it's almost like us trying to understand space.
I mean, Apple's way bigger than Rockstar. I don't even know why Rockstar's in
Rockstar
the
Games?
Yeah, Rockstar's the coming up. Because the key to this
It's not
is,
even close to as big as Apple. They're not even in the same conversation.
Well, hold on.
It is.
No, it's not. It is not.
They just put together the biggest entertainment property in the history of humankind.
Yeah, I know. That's because they're owned. So Rockstar is owned by a much bigger conglomerate. So they might be using that as. I understand what you're. Listen, Rockstar. Okay, I'll put it in perspective for you.
Apple's bigger.
Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, Rockstar sells you a $60 product. Apple sells you a $1,000 product.
But Rockstar, they sell 1 billion games.
22.75 billion. That's what Rockstar Games is.
And
worth.
Apple's $1 trillion.
They're not even in the
even close.
same conversation.
Apple's $1 trillion? Is Apple $1 trillion?
I think
Yeah,
at
it is.
least.
The market
But
cap is $1 trillion. yeah.
Haven't you seen the rice thing, Kamar? Like once you get from 1 million to 1 billion and 1 billion
That's
to
crazy.
$1 trillion, it's like
It's bags of rice.
it's
Bags of rice.
Way more than bags of rice.
No, I'm saying like each bag represents like $1 billion. So it's bags of rice.
I
like
see, gotcha.
like Apple has fucking truckloads of rice more
Yeah.
than. But what Kamar's saying is this: like as far like if you think about it, Simon, how big is Nintendo?
Rockstar's bigger than the music industry and the movie industry.
No.
Yes.
Not even close.
no, it is. It
No.
is.
I
Kamar,
just
well,
told
he just told you
you
it's worth 22 billion.
22.5 billion.
And what's the music industry?
The whole
way more.
music
10
industry?
billion.
No, you
No,
are
it's
crazy,
in the
dude.
trillions.
With streaming and stuff? No way.
It's in the trillions.
Kamar, hold on. Taylor Swift's cat made $90 million. last year.
$97 million.
Fine. So just think. Let's extrapolate that. Okay, one music star's cat made $90 million, the whole of the music industry has got to be in the trillions.
If they made 97 million,
The cat
that
doesn't-
means
that
every
cat money you can't apply to the music industry because that's just insane.
Okay, let me ask you this.
fandom on
Fine.
the side.
Does touring count for the music industry?
Yes.
Then I would assume the music industry is probably. Listen,
Well, no. Oh, actually, I don't know if the artists are connected to the music industry.
here's what you're saying. The video game industry is now larger than movies and music together.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's what you're saying, I'm with you. Rockstar Games as an independent game maker,
Probably not.
Exactly. What you're missing though is that Rockstar.
I was just being excited.
No, listen, Rockstar's they're a genius company. I actually want to say this on record too. I assume that when GTA 6 comes out, Joe Rogan's going to have a radio station.
In the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now you're back on the page.
If he doesn't, there'll be something in the Joe Rogan sphere, like it'll be Brian Redband or something.
It's the biggest entertainment property we've ever made. Well, I didn't have anything to do with it, but humankind has made.
You're talking about GTA 6.
The one that hasn't come out that could be like a beta test of a simulation to one of the guys talked about is what you'll just do every day and be happy doing. Like it's going to be so immersive. Like I said, they're going to have social media. That's social media. It's not going to be like you'll have to go into Rockstar Games and go on and people have followers.
I guess my question is,
and they'll have censorship issues and fuck like that.
Rockstar game will be like the most boring of all the games once we're immersed. You know what I mean? Because it's just living life out
Well,
normally.
or your option could be Rockstar game again, Dead Red Redemption.
Right. Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is
gotcha,
now you have your
Sorry, I was thinking Vice City. You know what I mean? You're just going to live life the same way you're living life out here.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, just think about like Ready Player One. They weren't rushing off to like get into the same simulation they're already in. They were going to live underwater, to do all these things they couldn't do.
Yeah, but I think you're missing the point is like in GTA, you can do all the stuff you can't do. Like I can't rip down the highway at 140 miles an hour.
No, but like the laws of gravity still exist. And you know what I'm saying? It's all...
Yeah, but you can put in cheat codes where that stuff goes away too, right?
Well, what if you don't want
guess,
that?
yeah.
But even then, Simon, like
It's gathering data as well. Remember that. And it's got the most users, audience. It's bigger than you. It's on the come up still. That's maybe what it is.
the biggest scam, Simon,
and music and stuff is going down. Sorry.
The biggest scam is that they still charge you. That's the biggest scam. Like, let me give you an example, Kamar. I truly believe that in GTA 6, if they've done it correctly, the radio stations alone could be like a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Well, if you could go into like
I'm so touched.
a shoe store and buy shoes, and those shoes get delivered to your house.
In GTA, you mean?
Yeah, like if they were stores, let's say there's a Foot Locker.
Oh, so I
And you
go and
just go
buy
into a
shoes
Foot
in that
Locker,
Foot
you buy
Locker,
Foot
and then I
Locker,
get
and
it.
then it ships to your door in the real world.
I'm
Yeah,
so
that's
touched.
interesting.
You saw that.
Yeah, no. What I mean, Kamar, is when you steal a car or get in a car in GTA, there's 20 radio stations. There's a country,
Yep, yep.
a soft
I
rock.
played it, I
yeah,
played
okay, yeah. What I'm saying is the way they're probably going to implement it, if I understand the technology today, is it will update all the time, or it will be like a live radio station. And
AI
my
can
point,
just pull it from something else.
and my point is like all the new hip hot music can just be fed into
Like
GTA
TikTok.
precisely, and that could be fucking massive.
Well, that would be it co-opting the music industry now.
Like, dude,
'Cause-
I can't tell you how many songs from the last GTA I still bang. And people are like, "Whoa, what song is this? Where'd you hear this?" I'm like, "GTA 5."
Yeah, there was also some bangers in like NHL and stuff.
Yeah.
Just barn burners.
It's so funny too, because on like FIFA, they're not bangers, but you just hear them so often that
Some of them were bangers.
Were
Dude,
they?
what
I
was
don't
that
know.
one we
They were all
fucking
terrible.
There's got to be a reason. Someone just say, I don't know, just random.
Well, that was all Euro
Put the song.
music.
I was
right?
gonna say
That
that's what you're
was
forgetting about
Euro.
FIFA is they had so much worldwide music that a lot
There
of it was
was one
cheesy.
song we loved. I can't remember what it was. I said the words wrong for a really long time.
Yeah. Fuck, I mean it's like on the tip of my tongue too. But again, I want to go back to Rockstar for 1 second. The fact that they still sell us the game is what is really crazy to me. Because they know in their heart of hearts that they're doing that just to make us feel like we aren't the product still. Like you said, massive data collection. Call of Duty gives you the game now.
Oh, is Call of Duty Rockstar as well?
No, it's not.
Hey,
My point though is this. My point is this. Rockstar, Call of Duty 5, or sorry, GTA 5 came out 13 years ago.
I thought it was 10, but
It's 13, okay? So it came out 13 years ago or 12 years ago, and it's still to this day, 13 years later, it makes $100 million a month
yeah.
off the online video game.
Yeah.
So my point is they don't have to, they could give you the free game. They could say, here's GTA 6 for everyone.
Oh, it just like give you the phone.
Yeah, precisely. And you're
Give
going to
you the
get some
phone
online
and
Just
they
like you get all the apps for free, and then they charge you for
in-game
the,
purchase or
Yeah,
whatever.
how rude. How rude. Because they don't need to send you a CD or a compact disc anymore,
No.
which is
See, I just watched the commercials.
We'll talk about it on the
I
post,
broke
Joe.
the system, you know?
But Kamar, you just brought up another good point. Sony. So all these gaming companies are pulling their games from Simon's so bored. Are pulling their games from the PlayStation Network because PlayStation takes 30% off the top. So like if you buy GTA for 100 of that doesn't go to Rockstar, 70 of it goes to Rockstar, and 30 of it goes to Sony.
Interesting.
So Rockstar, for example, they were like, we're not going to sell our game digitally. You're going to have to go and buy a physical copy, which sucks because a lot of people bought PlayStations that don't even have a disc.
Interesting.
what? How short-sighted is that, eh? Like you'd be like, this thing's broken. It doesn't have the slot because you're so used to that being an accoutrement.
Well, no, but they
to the
knew.
thing.
They
But
knew
have
it was-
trusted the cloud, of
Well,
course.
that's like computers now don't have the
Yeah, the
Disc-
CD-ROM, yeah.
CD-ROM anymore, and if there was an apocalypse, you would have a bunch of CDs and no way to play them.
Yeah,
you would have no laser.
hard copy
to-
and hard copy playing devices are going through the roof right now. Did you know that? I was going to talk about that post, Joe, but here we are.
I told you, DVDs are like the biggest regret sell, apparently. Like that's the thing people regret selling the most
Yes.
is their DVD collection.
Well, and their DVD player.
Well, yeah.
The two things, but right now there was a story in the news that it's all going like a Walkman in the box is like $9,000.
But anything in the box from the 80s or 90s is
but all other pieces too are worth a lot of money. Just physical battery operated things.
It's so funny.
Even point and shoot cameras.
I grew up with a Walkman, and the idea of going back to it makes me fucking sick to my stomach.
Yeah, they were terrible. Terrible.
First of all, the size of a Walkman was obscene.
They had smaller ones, but the yellow ones were gigantic.
Yeah, even the smallest one you
the
could get was
sports.
still the one the size of like
Yeah.
a tape, and it was just
I found CD Discmans to be more egregious, to tell you the truth, because they were
Discmans
so
were the absolute
fucking
worst.
useless.
skips all the time.
All the time.
The worst piece of shit ever.
First of all,
Huge
nobody
in your
can walk
pocket.
around like this
Yeah.
with it flat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yo,
You
but
always
what,
had to
about,
turn.
what about the Megabase?
Oh, the Megabase was amazing.
That was with the Reebok pumps.
Dude.
Now
Whoa,
we're-
whoa, the pumps worked.
so
what
did
was
the
it? The
Megabase.
What was, no, it was the Shockwave, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Megabase was on the
Megabase
Walkman,
was on the
wasn't
Walkman
it?
or something. There's just and I think you could do an equalizer. Like I don't need that much bass, but I need a bit more bass.
Fuck, I don't miss any of that at all. Like, dude, I remember when I got my first iPod.
Of course not, but it's nostalgic and it's also practical, like you said, DVDs.
Dude, when I got my first iPod, it was I was like, I can put 100 songs on this thing, and it's this big. I was like, my life has just gotten exponentially better.
Yeah, that day was a different day.
Huge.
Everyone takes that for granted,
Yeah.
because you're gonna pinch yourself. Like, but this next song is gonna stop it. Like, no, I can go forever, every single song, and you start making libraries in your head.
Well, yeah, like young people don't even realize that we would be like, yeah, I made this mixtape. I spent all last night making it, and now I have 20 songs, and these 20 songs are going to be what I listen to for like the next 2 weeks, week. Like, you couldn't walk around with 8 discs. You know what I mean? If you made a like bunch of mix CDs, that was it. You were like, this is my mix CD for
If
the
you
day.
said shuffle, you meant 1 through 7 or 1
Yeah.
through 13.
Yeah.
Just to tie that all up, Rockstar, whoever runs Call of Duty, EA Sports maybe, and Apple, those are really big companies. Like we can't fathom.
How big is EA
Samsung,
Sports?
Samsung too. No, I'm saying EA Sports would be the video game industry versus Apple.
No, I get it. I'm now curious though. I bet EA might be bigger than Rockstar.
Yeah, that's possible. They've been around for a lot longer.
They have, yeah.
And all those, no, I was wondering if any of those companies could have bought Google or YouTube.
Dude,
in
Google
the- in
tried
the-
to
in the
Google
very
tried to
beginning.
sell itself for $750,000
In the very beginning.
Yeah,
35.9 billion. Let's
Yeah.
move on
So
to your
they're
next
bigger
point.
than
yeah, they're
Rockstar.
almost twice as big.
Jesse Ventura's crazy. Like they didn't that he was a Navy SEAL, actor, wrestler,
Vice president in a
Actor.
bike club.
governor.
Don't forget that.
Vice president of a bike club, governor of a state.
Yeah.
Kook, crazy person.
I think he was crazy person all through all of those things.
I think that he's been betrayed. Like he's a lot. When he did the podcast, he's like it blew up. Like he's a lot to handle. But I think he's been done dirty by the media because he's better than he's bad.
Dude,
I trust him.
Did you see Jim Norton interview him when he walks out of the Jim Norton
that
interview?
wasn't good.
Fucking hilarious.
Well, Jim Norton's was too big for his britches, wasn't he?
Well,
No,
the
Jim
whole-
just wasn't taking his shit.
The whole thing was
Yeah.
a little awkward.
But you take a little shit from him.
Why?
Well, he's like, it's my show. It was a thing of establishing dominance, but obviously Jesse Ventura is more dominant.
Well, I don't think Jesse Ventura has like a sense of humor either, so probably the wrong guy to interview
Yeah,
him.
it
you
doesn't
know?
help. That's true. Yeah.
Like Joe was able to do it because he just didn't joke. They just, you have to fucking. He's a. Whether he's right or wrong, he's a lot. I think is in air quotes.
Yeah.
A lot.
It's like people that interview rappers. Like I think, like if I was someone that, let's say I was famous for doing interviews, I would be so selective of what rappers I would interview. Like there's probably I could maybe off the top of my head think of 5 rappers I would actually interview, and the rest no way.
Just because they're too big for their britches.
Well, just a lot of them are going to be assholes.
Who would you interview?
2 Chainz,
Okay.
right? He's first ballot.
Okay.
50.
That would be a great one.
Yeah.
Andre 3000
Ooh, that'd probably be a great one. Yeah. Yeah. Andre would be a good
or
talk.
Big
yeah.
Boy. I bet either of them.
I bet both of them would
good.
be great. Yeah. Both of them would. Yeah. Both of them would be
Thank
fucking
you.
solid.
There you go.
Doing what?
Who would I
Interviewing
rappers I would interview? Because I said by and large, like DaBaby, I wouldn't sit down with DaBaby. No fucking
Well, 50
way.
Cent, you could.
50 would be the best. 50's hilarious. I've been watching a lot
You'll
of
have your
interviews.
chance.
What,
He's coming here this summer.
Yeah, he's not going to sit down.
You'll
with me.
have your
Maybe
chance
backstage.
Well, maybe if you
If
can
this
get
thing-
Tom Green on,
if
then that'll just snowball into
true.
50 Cent.
He's on tour right now, and then he'll be on the show. No,
is
I
that
haven't booked
right?
it, but that is correct.
Did you see Ben Backus? Bankus played the mothership.
No way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he's moving to Austin.
He's not nice to me, but he's all right.
Weird.
No, he did this.
He's on the
thing
come up big time.
making fun of
Olivia Chow.
Teresa Tam. I
That's
believe
her,
it is.
yeah, sorry.
Olivia Chow might be the mayor. I'm
I
sure he
think
makes fun of her too.
yeah.
But it was super pro trucker, anti Teresa Tam, anti liberals, and he does a lot of Asian voices.
Is he Asian?
No, he's
Jewish. He's Jewish. Oh no,
he's really funny.
No, they use that as but he's a pro trucker.
Well,
like,
Jews are allowed to do Asian voices
yeah, of course.
because we're a minority.
Jews are
right?
allowed to-
Minorities can do other minority.
exactly. So that's why there's no ooh. And
Also, Kamar brought it up. I don't get it. If I sat here and did a British accent, you'd have no
We're good.
problem with it. If I do an Irish accent, you have no problem
We're
with
good.
it. If I do an Australian accent, you're fucking great.
We're
if I do
good.
a Mexican accent, you probably are still good.
we're good.
If I do an Asian accent, all of a sudden I am a fucking hate crime piece of garbage.
No,
right?
you're not.
No?
Unless you've never met an Asian person in your life. If that
Okay,
and
I
you're
got
doing
it. Yeah.
Then you're mocking it. In other words, it's like
I think you can. Sorry, go ahead.
no.
You can do the accent. You just can't pull your eyes back.
Yes,
like
yes,
that.
Well, that's a
exactly.
great-
Exactly.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
exactly.
That's
If
anything,
where
I
you
would
draw
push
the
my
line.
eyes
Yeah.
forward.
But now we're doing
That's
hack
the best
material
joke.
because that's Eddie
Delirious,
Murphy.
where
Exactly.
he's like,
No,
when
it's not-
fry, Big Mac, Diet
yeah.
Coke.
So culturally, we dealt with that thing at that moment, but it is kept, which we'll talk about in 3 episodes or whatever. That flame is kept alive of like these issues. Anyways,
They go in the bag. The Big Mac.
Kamar, I want your opinion on this. This girl came up to me on Friday and she was like, "Hey, I have some constructive criticism for you." And I was like,
Jesus.
"Wonderful! I can't wait for this."
That's like with all due respect.
Yeah, 100%. She was like, "You don't." She's like, "You ask a lot of American questions," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Well, like
CanCon.
She was like, "You asked like the color of a certain Lucky Charms. You asked like what ET's favorite candy was," and I was like, "Well, those aren't American." Like I was like, "That's kind of like pop culture." And she was like, "Yeah, well, this is Canada, and you should be asking more Canadian questions." And I was like, "Okay, well, no, she doesn't."
how
It's
old?
trivia.
How old were they? How old
She was young. Then she goes.
okay.
Then she goes on. Hold on, wait. It's not
We
done.
have to have a talk about that.
It's not done. Then she goes on to be like, also, I'm from the Ukraine. I'm an immigrant. And I think that 40% of Canada's immigrants, and you should be asking more questions that immigrants would get. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, well, I just told you 40% of Canada's immigrants. So, and then I said to her, I said, you're
Is
from
that true?
probably right now.
Is
Yeah.
her opinion true?
No, 40% of Canada is immigrants.
Probably right now. We've been letting
Do
in
you
a lot
want?
of-
Do you want to get into it? I think. It's
No.
Like, I think it's like 200,000 a year.
Sure.
Okay, sorry.
Either
on,
way,
go on with your
Point is, she's like, I was like, so you're from the Ukraine, and she was like, yeah, and I was like, so let me ask you a question. If I went to the Ukraine as a Canadian, and I went to a trivia night there, and I went up to the
said
host.
this out loud, or is it we?
No, I said this to her.
Let's go.
I said if I went to the host and said, hey, I'm Canadian, I think you should make this more Canadian. Do you think that the host would not laugh me out of the room? And she was like, no, we're a very warm and welcoming people. And I was like,
Well, and that's not really what she said. She said if 40% of the Ukraine was Canadian, and then you went up and you said,
Simon,
But it's just 40% of immigration is Ukrainian, not 40%.
right?
That's
I see.
what it is.
No, it's too specific.
And tell her to go fuck herself.
Yeah.
oh,
And you're welcome on the way out. Like Jesus
Kamar,
Christ.
I said politely, I said, listen,
That's racist. What she's doing there is racist, but because she beat you to it, she's a victim. It's madness.
I don't think it's racist.
Because I'm from here, or because we're from here, different. Because of this.
she also then,
You
Simon,
need to. What is it?
I forgot the kicker though. She then said to me, she said,
Tyranny of the oppressed.
she said, asking all these American questions, she said, you know, Canada's looked upon as like America's little brother. And I said, yeah, I don't really give a shit. And she went, you don't care about that? And I was like, no, I mean, we look at the Ukraine as Russia's little brother. And then she was fucking pissed.
But think about this. I think we should fuck with the states so they get mad at us, and then Russia be like, you know what, and give us a bunch of money to fight them. just out of spite, balance it all out.
Anyway, let's move on. Black
Speaking
keys.
of balance it all out, they talked about Haiti. If they can't fix Haiti, they can't fix the planet. Have you seen where Haiti is?
Yeah, barbecue, bro.
But it's just lawlessness.
Yeah.
It's
Just people in the streets
somehow
with
it's
machetes.
existing and running. Some people are going about there every day. People are just killing. Like it's hell on earth. And you know who was in charge of Haiti? Bill and Hillary. That is correct. And this
Well, there was that earthquake whenever. And
and
that,
when the earthquake happened,
I know.
Bill and Hillary got $10 billion. The world swelled together.
well, don't forget Wyclef robbed. Remember Wyclef raised $20 million to help Haiti and
There's
took it
blood
all.
on many people's hands,
Yeah.
but the thing is, Haiti fought for independence. Like if Haiti was today, they'd be Gaza.
I think he's actually gone till November 2055 or something.
Please leave a message. But they're not Gaza, but they were colonized by the French, and the French had a chokehold on them, and we're just using them.
Was Haiti the Hutsis and the Tutus? Is that
No.
No, that's in Africa.
That's Africa.
But just let me finish. So Haiti fought for its independence, had a revolution. Somehow they had to pay France $150 million at the time as part of the deal for giving us back our freedom, which is about $30 billion, which is basically what has been the debt that has crushed Haiti from that day. So it's another conspiracy theory.
You want to hear something crazy? Just not about Haiti, but this just reminded me of it.
Sure.
They glazed over it on Rogan, but somebody went to Easter Island,
Yeah.
with the heads,
Yeah.
and burnt the whole fucking island. Burnt the heads, burnt the.
That was like a couple months ago, right? Or like a year ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and-
I think you brought that up on the show
Did we? Anyways, there were no trees on.
on Easter Island.
They had to bring all that gasoline with them.
They had flamethrowers.
Well, they must have. Who fucking knows? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Anyways,
I just smash cut to Elon drunk
I don't feel.
with a bunch of flamethrowers
from
and
the
his
boring
friends. Yeah.
club there.
I don't know how I feel about just leaving stuff. Like I think everything should just be dug up.
What do you mean?
Like just having these monuments of like this is how it was. Like go deeper. Like if you break something to find out there's nothing there, then you know that. But this preservation, it's a weird thing.
Right, like he's saying, like Gobekli Tepe. It's taken
for
them
it.
a
Let's go
million
for it.
years to uncover because they're so worried about like breaking a pillar or two. Just fucking sandblast the whole thing and deal with the consequences.
Yeah, but what about
later.
like Stonehenge then? You think they should just like knock all them over, dig it up?
No. Not destroy it, but dig it. Like, go ham.
First of all, they can see now exactly
with
like
LiDAR and
with
shit.
LiDAR. And they know what they're dealing with Stonehenge. But around Stonehenge is the henge, right? Which most people don't even know about, and that's like that built up mound.
And for sure, there's a construction company that would like the contract. Like, here's $100 million. Come back in 6 months. Like,
Yeah.
the private industry wants to do that. The government's protecting it and all that red tape.
No, but it's also, Kamar, if you found out tomorrow that Justin Trudeau was going to throw $200 million at digging up a monument, you'd be fucking up in arms, as would I.
I wouldn't. I'd be like,
That's
money well
interesting.
spent.
Yeah, if you had a good reason. If you found out there's a super pyramid in
Yeah, but this is my point.
Saskatchewan,
What if they spend the $200 million, they dig it up, and there's fuck all? That's my point.
hang him.
I mean,
That's my fucking
they
point.
waste money on like bike rack committees. So
I'm not
you
saying
know
the
what I
government
mean?
doesn't waste money. I'm just saying that
That'd
if
be a
our
lot to
if
get
our
under
gripe
waste,
is
yeah.
government waste, we can't sit here and be like, we should just be digging up stuff just in case. Like,
Well, it's not just in case. Like I said, where we LiDAR it, we see, oh fuck, there are 3 more pyramids below this pyramid. Let's get to them.
yeah, but I go back to that's a private sector thing. If someone with money wants to go and dig it up, and if there's something there, it's theirs, then great. But other than that, like I don't want the government spending
Basically,
money on
like
this shit.
Graham Hancock developing a foundation
Yeah.
for each of these sites and then playing the story of them to some Bitcoin billionaire that wants to just like,
But we don't-
sure, let's see what is there.
we don't-
and bringing back an egg.
We don't give a fuck about our history here in Canada. Really, in the United States, they don't really give a shit either. Like their ancient history.
We're getting way off,
Whereas in like Egypt, let's say,
Yeah.
that's a big part of their of their tourism. And
Dig
if,
those things
if
up.
we had something
Let's
really
go.
cool here, people would come to see it, you know?
Yeah.
So you're not, that's why they should spend the money to uncover the pyramid so that we can make the money off
Yeah.
the.
So
Again,
it's
no,
bad,
hold on.
Bad example. Bad example.
No.
That's all it
He
was.
doesn't want to get stuck.
Yeah, it's
go
fine.
go,
Go
on.
ahead.
It's
Go.
fine. Fuck. Rush on to 4 topics that are less interesting than this. But please, you got to fit it all in.
No, Black Keys. We do have to move on. Actually,
That's all it was. It's not this.
The Black Eyed Keys. Let's go. Push forward.
The Black Eyed Keys.
he said it 16 times this episode. Are you
Shut
just
up. Are
getting
you
here?
serious?
Yeah.
Maybe I just can't hear, but
We
that's
even
name we
said,
said
I
we
was like, if
kidnapped
Fergie
Fergie.
joined, oh my God, this
That's
guy's not even, he's not even
hilarious.
present.
Could you write that down? I want that.
I Siri'd it.
I want that.
I now understand why he
someone
doesn't-
else made that up? Is that yours?
Dude, if somebody else didn't make that up, I'd be very surprised. I didn't hear it somewhere else, but it seems like the most obvious of all like mashups.
Black
Now I
Eyed
know why you
Peas?
don't do crowd work. You have to listen
The
to
Black
do
Eyed
crowd work.
Keys. The Black Eyed Keys.
Yeah, the Black Eyed Keys.
What are they called? The
The
Black,
Black
Keys.
Keys.
And the Black Eyed
They
Peas.
used to be the Black Eyed Peas until they punched Fergie in the eye.
Oh my
The
God.
Black Eyed Keys, the Black Eyed Peas.
Will you move
This is
on?
the funniest guy in Ottawa.
I know it's funny, but I don't get it. That's weird.
It's like Mike Baker and Bake Maker. Mike Maker.
My brain just hears it, but I'm not getting it. So write down. So fuck Haiti's fucked up. Predator. You guys both saw Predator.
Love Predator.
It's the JRE movie game. The time has come again. For Matt and Simon to rack their brains to guess the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE movie game. Come on, take it away, baby.
It's the movie game where Matt and Simon go head to head to find out what year a movie came out, how much it cost to make, and how much it made at the box office. This week we're doing Don't Beware the Predator. I don't have time to bleed.
That's which one we're doing, Kamar?
Predator.
The Schwarzenegger one.
Wait.
What year was
With
that?
Jesse Body Ventura. Sorry, it came out. But Prey is one of the best remakes of something
Prey is an incredible
that
movie.
seemed like, say, a idea or a movie concept that's been beaten to death with all the predators versus aliens and this. But to come up with that was great.
But the Predator and the alien lore is so like the world that's been created by add-on features
This could
and
be-
this and that.
this could be another dimension.
Is so huge.
It doesn't
like,
stop. It doesn't stop with Predator.
there's so many different types of predators, groups of predators. Like it's
Oh,
they got a lot of omnibus. to
these
work
are the
with.
only credits they gave on Wikipedia. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers. Rest in peace.
Simon, I'm ready.
Oh my God, another governor.
Who, Carl Weathers?
No, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California.
Yeah.
They were both in Predator. Jesse the Body Ventura was governor of Minnesota.
Okay.
How many governors?
Oh my God! If Carl Weathers becomes the governor of like Milwaukee,
How many governors have started with Carl Weathers? I don't know. That's way too American.
So
Sorry.
what film? What film has two former governors?
And yeah, something like that. Anyways, it's just Carl Weathers. He just passed away.
Simon, are you ready? Do you at least have a year?
yeah, I have a year.
What year do you have?
I think I'm gonna go with 1987.
You're way off. I said 1980.
Release date 1987.
No way.
Whoa!
Wow.
Big leagues.
Whoa!
Big
Whoa!
leagues.
Especially because I have to say you're way off.
Look
It has
at
to be that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always wrong
Yeah.
when you're right.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing, man. You need some sort of idea mirror.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know when you look in a mirror, you think you do the same way, but
Mar, it's just like Bitcoin. I only look at Bitcoin and think of buying it when it's at its like tippity top. I always tell myself, I'm like, Matt, when it goes back to 20, just start buying up like $100 a week.
no, I think the problem with that is you're just old enough. It's too much of a giggy because you just can't transfer funds to a thing. It's the third. One day you're going to go in and they're not there.
No, I have a cold wallet.
All right,
Okay, I said it cost 30 million and it made 140.
and I said it cost 25.6, and it made 126.
Well, we're so close, Simon.
Yeah, I want to give this Simon. It's an $18 million budget
Okay.
and $98.3 million at the box office. Didn't make as much as you thought, but
I'm not giving it to him. But
it was a restricted movie, so you're not going to have the huge box
restricted,
office.
yeah. If I had known that.
There's blood. And
Either way,
guts.
nice
Oh,
work,
I
Simon.
have to make a correction.
Oh, please. Some housekeeping?
Did I talk about that show Heels on this show, or did I just talk about
No, it's
it
your other
to you?
podcast. I've never heard that word in my life.
I don't know.
The wrestling show? I didn't talk about that.
No.
Okay. No need.
Carry on.
Can you look at your ticket, please? Just there's people going ham in that game right now.
So, okay, you're checking out here now.
No, I haven't.
He said Tom DeLonge
Opened his
predicted
eyes.
COVID to him.
Oh, yeah.
Said in 6 months something crazy is going to happen, and COVID happened.
I know, but didn't like all that UFO shit happen right then too? So maybe that's what he was referring to, and
Yeah.
this guy didn't even realize
It's true,
that.
yeah. Simon's got a good point.
Tom DeLonge feels like a Jesse Ventura. Like, the thing is, when you see them in interviews and stuff, they are crazy. And just people saying they are crazy compounds it. But it's like, what do you say when, if you were trying to explain
Yeah,
the
you just sound
octopus
crazy.
murders?
It's too big. Yeah, I agree.
And I think some of these guys, and you'll never have the time to do a psychological check and figure where they're at, but are just coming off crazier than they are because it's the truth is crazier than the fiction. I don't know. And then that led them to all the missiles have to be offline. I don't know if you know, but the city of Hamilton just got hacked
Yeah,
for ransom.
yeah.
Like that, we're so vulnerable. You think well, they're a municipal government in 2024. They know that they have to have secure shit, and they don't. All the missiles has to be that promise disc, the disc that does everything, that was in the octopus murders.
Yeah.
That's something about the codes to launch the missiles because they can't be on the cloud, right?
Well, it's like Joe. Joe was like, is there an unhackable computer? No,
No,
there is not.
There isn't. Well, no, there's not an unhackable. Well, no, you can even
No,
get
it's
to one
because
that's
you
not
have
online. But
listen,
if you're online,
you have to build in back doors. That's like that's the design. That's the yeah. You can't build an unhackable system. It's impossible.
I mean, I'm not a computer scientist, but I'm sure it's possible.
No, it's not. That's why 14-year-olds hack into the FBI all the time.
there's nothing. There's nothing. We learned that from Edward Snowden. If nothing else, we learned that from him.
I mean, again, Simon, like what I was just mentioning is when I design a program, I have to design a back door so that if something goes wrong, I have another way in. And those back doors are where those are always the exploits. Not to mention, too, coding is done by people that, we're flawed. There's always errors.
Well, and backdoors are going to get easier with AI, as we're about to talk in the next episode. So I just want to wrap it up here.
Sorry, until quantum computing. Once quantum computing comes along, then everything's open. And
We're really good about to get into all that.
Oh,
I just want to say how they're saying their publishers, whatever, told them to do aliases, like a total nothing you can touch, but it makes you feel special. I don't even you remember Cheers, but there's an episode of Cheers where the bar's out of money and everyone wants a raise. So the manager gives everyone a promotion. But this big speech that they leave, they're like, wow, I'm executive director of the rail. And then somebody hears it, they all get a promotion. There's no money, but they all get.
When you go to a hotel, don't they ask to see your ID?
No, but you can ask an alias.
Yeah, you can say
you can ask for they know who you really are.
Like Dave Chappelle, apparently, he used to
check.
check in as Charles E. Cheese.
Charles E. Cheese. That's pretty funny.
I'm just saying.
But still, it's just this stupid status thing that is nothing.
Nobody's looking for you, asshole.
And he's like, Susan Sarandon's name was there. Yeah. Like real stars do put their names down.
I love that these guys also are smart enough to be like, our publicist said, don't do this.
Yeah, they're super cool dudes.
No, but to hear them say like, if we do Rolling Stone, it's going to like 600,000 people are going to see that. And we do this. And it's like exponentially more. How many people do you think checked out the Black Keys album this week that didn't know it was coming out or will check it out next week when it comes out?
Ask what's her name.
What I'm interesting,
Susan Santos.
Susan Santo, who I can't believe Joe didn't. Oh, we'll wait for the Mexican OT for that. Nice tease there, Simon. Bowling used to be bigger than NFL. Just put that around your head.
Yeah,
and I'm sure UFC will be the biggest thing in the world in 50 years.
I think any game can become huge. Like if you're at a lack for other games, we as a people will get behind any competition. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be throwing logs.
Yeah.
It could be fucking croquet.
Yeah.
It could be golf. It could be tennis. It could be rugby. And that's why you end up with some of these like crickets or whatever, What
was the one I saw the other day that they just started? It's they play football on a hockey rink.
With the skates?
Nope. So you're in like shoes, like street shoes.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. It's the dumbest thing. How do you run on the ice?
It's very slow, but again, like it's tough to.
Regardless, there's no secret sauce to make that as big as one of the bigs.
What was the other one I saw the other day? Jiu-jitsu in a car?
We've talked about that too.
Did we? Okay, yeah.
That's amazing.
Where they're like choking each other with this.
It's Russian.
The first thing they do is like seatbelt off.
Yeah,
That's
it's Russian.
Of course, 100%. Of course,
but slap fighting's bigger than that.
Slap fighting really isn't that big. I think Dana created this.
It's the craziest extreme example of this. You can make a sport out of it.
Yes. But I just, as a side note, I think Dana White has created like so much hype behind this thing, and I don't really think that many people are watching it.
I find it's too brutal. The thing about the UFC, the difference with the UFC and slap fighting is that like, there's violence and you see people get knocked out. You see vicious knockouts. You see leg breaks. You see all sorts of stuff, but they can block. Like there's something about the fact that you can protect yourself in the UFC. Whereas slap fighting, like just watching someone stick their chin out and knowing the CTE in their future.
Most slap fights are ending one hit. That's not how most UFC fights.
No, yeah.
So you get a lot more drama.
Yeah.
But have you dipped your toes into bare knuckle fighting?
Yeah, it's brutal as fuck.
Because that's what it is.
So what's his name? Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah.
What his league is UFC no gloves.
Yeah.
See, the whole thing though is like,
good luck with that.
I don't know if you guys remember it, but like 8 years ago, I remember Brendan Schaub was on and they were arguing about gloves versus no gloves. And I remember they were like, I think it was Schaub. I can't remember whether it was Schaub or Rogan. One of them was like, he was like, we should get rid of the gloves. The gloves are what's holding the sport back. And then, dude, I remember I watched the first 2 bare knuckle events, and I was like, nope, I think the gloves are keeping the sport just where it should be.
But they're still going strong.
I know they are. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not shitting on the bare knuckle league.
And elbows in UFC can do this exact same thing that the knuckles do. For me, it's actually their hands. I feel sorry more for their hands, and I'm sure it hurts just much with the small padded glove or lesser. Even
It's just the tearing of the skin.
even boxers break their hands in.
Of course, yeah, in the bigger gloves, in the 12-ounce
in
gloves.
gloves.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Listen, all I'm saying is it's more of like the tearing of the skin and I don't know.
It's always a bloodbath.
Yeah, always.
So there's no
You
adults
winning,
in
Simon?
charge because it's forever chemicals.
Doing okay.
We all want Bill Murray to be on Joe Rogan. That's a guess we could all agree on.
Yeah, that would be a great
There we
poll
go.
for Rogan.
But he nearly got canceled, so it's gonna be dicey.
It's looking okay, man. I don't want to jinx it, but
And Sean Penn going to interview Chapo, get him in caught and being like, did I do that? Is the most hilarious thing ever, unless it was a CIA operation and he's the fall guy.
I was gonna say, once we see him going to the Ukraine to like plug himself in there, doesn't it really make you
man on a
feel
mission?
like he is a CIA plant?
The thing is, I love his role in Carlito's Way. I love him in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Whoa.
Simon?
Sean Penn in Carlito's Way?
He's the crazy lawyer.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
yeah, and the
yes,
white
you're
suit,
right. Yeah.
the bald.
That movie does not get enough respect.
No.
Carlito's Way was a great flick. Great
Benny
flick.
Blanco from the Bronx.
It had so much good shit in it. Quotable lines.
No, yeah,
like-
it's like a Goodfellas.
yeah, it was really good. I really remember
agree.
liking it. I haven't watched it again in a long time.
It just, when it came out, it had to almost over-deliver based on Pacino, this is going to be the best thing ever.
I defy any person in the world to watch Sean Penn in I Am Sam and not cry.
Yeah, but still, he could be a CIA operative.
Is that the
Still.
one where he goes full retard?
That's the one where, and he has the daughter. It is the fucking,
Best performance you ever saw.
no, it's just a really sweet, sad movie, you know?
I find it
It
quite
is.
annoying.
It is. I'm sure he did well.
Come on, we got to wrap up the keys here. I know it was a great episode, lots to touch on, but we got to give fucking Kurzweil.
We got to
a
fucking
little
insult
bit.
Kurzweil
Yeah.
for a little
Yeah.
bit.
I don't know, but they mentioned Melanie Griffith, and there was a time
Oh, she could
when
get
I
it.
was she could get it.
Antonio Banderas
And I
was getting
got
it.
it, but I would love, like, if I ran into her now, I'd feel I could die and go to heaven. Like, it'd be
And speaking
just crush, a person with a crush. Like, she's not the most beautiful or whatever, but to me she was.
speaking of Antonio Banderas, you know what was another great movie? Desperado. What a fucking work of art that was.
It's a good movie.
Great movie.
Period piece.
And good soundtrack too.
Yeah. Movies and video games are going to meld, and you're just going to be able to do whatever you want always.
I can
I
beat
give this a
Desperado.
4.
Movies and video games will not meld.
Well, we're picking right back up in the next episode.
Well,
I give
you
it a 4.
won't
I
need
give it a
the
4.
movies anymore if you can go and live. The
That's what I'm
movies.
saying. One, it's one or the other.
I give it a 4.
I mean,
But what does living the movie mean? Once you have the choice, it's a video game.
But you could
Once
change
you are
it. You could
controlling
change
the
it.
character,
You could change it.
No, but it's not a film at that point. Like Grand Theft Auto is not a film. It will never be a film. As
Maybe-
cinematic as they make it.
maybe-
Well, who knows if
you
it's
are not-
constantly building itself as a universe out.
maybe you are not playing the movie, Matt. Maybe you go in and you get into the skin of Leonardo DiCaprio in whatever movie that was, and you just get to be that.
But the beauty of a
character.
movie is watching the performances. You're then.
You're living the performance.
I mean, I'm not saying no. I'm
not
always wrong.
there
Anyway.
yet.
Yeah, sure.
It's not there yet. I give it a 4.
I give it a 4. I can't give it a 5 because last time I gave these guys a 5, Simon shat himself.
It's insane. I'll give it a. This is the Black Eyed Keys we're talking about, right? I give it a 3.42.
Obviously, you said it was your favorite of the week.
All right, let's move on to Ray.
2117 Ray Kurzweil. 76 years young, but showing every year of it.
This did not go well.
This did not go
A
well.
horrible confrontation about suspenders at the beginning. Like,
Had he ever been on before? Was this Ray's first time on?
No, it sounded. I meant to
I
look.
thought he had been on before. But
No, Joe said he had.
that's what I thought.
I think he was on early on, and I'm guessing that conversation went a lot better than this one. Although I assume 10 years off of Ray Kurzweil, he might have been a little.
Well, this is another one of those situations. This happens every once in a while where these guys like Ray Kurzweil, they're used to going on podcasts and talking. That's what they do. They just talk and they talk and they talk. And most people are happy to let that happen because people want to hear what Ray Kurzweil has to say. Joe, because he's bigger he can't let that happen, right? Like it has to be 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, I also noticed, this guy works for Google, if I'm not mistaken. And Joe was really going out of his way to try to get this guy to shit on Google.
Interesting. I didn't realize he worked for Google.
I think it says in the notes that he works on Google's AI.
Oh, that's
so,
interesting.
and it would make sense, right? If this guy's like top of the pile, why would he not go work for Google?
Yeah.
So it was a weird, it would be like if I went on and tried to get Joe to shit on Elon or Tesla. You know what I mean? It just ain't fucking happening. And I get it. You could be like, this guy's 80. What does he care if he loses his job at Google? But I don't know. When you're 80, you probably care about job security.
Well, and he's probably doing what he considers really important work. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But my point was, it's like Joe was really trying to get him to be like, well, we can't trust a company like Google with this sort of thing. And you could see him some really long pauses in there, even on 3 times where he was like,
Oh no, the pauses were insane. Joe even mentioned it in another podcast about the crazy long pauses in the Ray Kurzweil episode.
that was the thing, dude. I'm listening on 3
This
times.
Ray-
And I'm like, hold on.
Kurzweil or the last
This
one?
one, this one.
Oh, we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back to the planet.
It gets right off the wrong foot when Joe jabs at him for having suspenders. You're a futurist. Why would you have some sort of archaic thing? But we just talked about how people want nostalgia and
And that is just the
Walkmans.
dumbest
It was
premise I've ever heard. You work with new things so you can't appreciate old things? That's insane.
Also, Joe acts like a belt is on the cutting edge of
yes.
what are we doing here?
No, he
you know
felt
what I mean?
iPod belt.
Yeah,
I mean,
suspenders. You had to
Right,
spare
yeah.
your second born.
I know, I don't get it. It was so fucking weird. I was like, Joe, let it go. And Kurzweiler too also was like, he's like, I mean, these are hand painted. And Joe was like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And he's like, no, but I don't know. He's like, I don't know if you get it. These are hand painted. Have you ever seen these before?
And anything else, Joe, that's cool. I'm fascinated by
know.
things.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get a pair of suspenders. Not here. He's
No.
like, you're retarded. It was weird. It was weird.
oh my God, Joe Rogan wearing suspenders would be hilarious.
Oh, it'd be so funny. He'd look like an old timey, extra.
Well, this makes me think I'm going to have to bring him back.
Oh, you could rock them for sure.
No, that was literally one of the most insane statements that Joe's ever made. That's pretty weird that for a guy who's on the cutting edge of technology, you wear such an archaic way to hold
Yeah.
up your pants.
You know what I bet in his mind? I bet in his mind he was like, I have an Ex Machinima hottie at home plugged into my computer that sucks my cock every night. He's like, fuck my suspenders, Joe. I'm on the cutting fucking edge.
What did you call it? An X what?
Machinima? Machinima?
Machina?
Oh, yeah, whatever, yeah. Machinima was the gaming company. My bad.
was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say Mackinac.
No, I was trying to say Machinima,
thought he
but I
was
got
also
it. I got it
trying to say-
confused
Let you
with the
get
video
there
game company.
yourself.
Yeah.
You're a big boy.
Machinina? Sounds like
machinima.
a Jewish word, like a
Mashugana,
Yiddish word.
yeah. He's a fakak.
It's all the future. He says AI will exceed humans in 2029. So there's 5 years left.
He was so. This is one thing that got to me is he wouldn't budge on the date.
And he's already budged on the date, which is weird because it used to be like 2042. And then because we've come so far in technology, he was able to push that forward to 2029.
He thinks as an optimist, but this I wouldn't say 2029 the singularity, but I think AI. But I think those are closely entwined. If that is a path of us to
Imagine how
go.
tough. Imagine it just dawned on me. Imagine how tough it is being his age, and being that smart that you know that we might be on the cusp of being able to extend your life by 100 years,
But you won't make it.
You probably won't make it, or if you do,
Lifespan, longevity, escape velocity.
yeah, listen, I know we've had that guy on that was like, I can probably in a few years I'll be able to take 20 years off your life. If you're 80 though, it doesn't quite cut it. You know what I mean? If you're 60 and you hear that,
We talked about 70. But
that's the thing. You're still like, fuck yeah. I could live at this age for another 100 years. Sure. 50 years. That's fine. I mean, the problem is kids. Young people in general. If you live
you
to
should
be
get rid of the young people.
no. What I'm saying though is if you live to be 150, the disconnect you would have speaking to a 20-year-old would be
Not if you're all wired in. It's a different. It's a
Yeah,
different,
yeah,
it's
I get
different
it,
sort
yeah.
of
feeding off the
consciousness.
hive mind.
I guess, yeah.
We get everything at the same time. There's nothing.
It's true.
That
You
I
wake
know
up.
that you don't.
I
know.
just wake up and my whole Instagram feed is just boom in my head. Yeah.
doom.
You no longer have to ask someone if they saw that meme. They're like, yes.
But he's just saying
You won't have to ask them anything, Matt. You'll just look at them
true, yeah.
and you'll both think of the same meme at the same time.
Oh, you're horny again. I understand.
It's all just porn.
It's all-
Everybody's just looking
everyone's
at
just-
porn.
yeah.
I want to preface
Tits again, huh?
I want to preface this by just saying these are words. They go together in some way, but don't try. I'm just going to say the words and just say what I think. Okay. Exponential growth line chart computations and calculations. So he was just saying it's clear as day that the line graph of technology is unless meteor or something hits, it's going to just blast off.
Yeah.
Scarier is if you've seen the U.S. debt,
Yeah.
it's the exact same thing. Like it's a trillion, 2 trillion, 3 trillion, and these numbers that you can't imagine. And one of those is going to have to give.
That's what I was going to say about like that 2029 number. It might not be that far off because we're all looking at it as like this normal progression, but maybe it just happens super quickly.
Exponential,
you know,
just like
right?
the,
Yes,
the
exactly.
lilies on the pond.
That's right. It's 1 second it's not there, and the next second it's always been there.
I mean, listen, the way we talk about AI right now is going to sound like the way they spoke about the internet in the early 90s.
Probably, yeah.
Like if you go back
In our lifetime. I mean,
yeah, if you go back and watch, Simon, can I have one? If you go back and watch any news network talking about the internet in the 90s, it's all they speak about it with like a joke.
They put out something on Twitter. Or,
Yeah. Dude, the way they talk about it is so dismissive.
and now they hope you follow them on
Yeah,
that.
100%.
And that is the death throw.
That's the flip. That's what I'm talking about.
That's
Is
the
like
flip.
it can easily like AI is this
100% that's what happened.
AI is this thing now that like we talk about in flippantly, but like yeah, if you don't become a fucking prompt expert in the next 2 years, like it's ironic because
No, I think it'll accommodate us, Cretans. It'll just give us a nice little program to follow that we actually find quite nice and never thought we would be happy doing this.
I mean the truth is this: we were so behind with the internet, we've never caught up. AI is going to move 5 times as fast. You know, when they were talking about, hold on, sorry, real quick. They were talking about, I think it was in the Black Keys episode, they were talking about regulating AI. And Joe was like, how does the government get ahead of, oh no, it was in this one. He was asking Kurzweil, he's like, how does the government get ahead of this?
Was this one?
There is no single person in the government, elected official, that has even the slightest fucking clue.
In a way, it's exceeded us already. And
Yeah.
we just don't want to say it. We don't admit the fact of the matter.
And listen, Joe's whole thing, like, don't you think we should pump the brakes on this? That's not how this works. It's never been how it works.
But to get
Regulation has existed in almost all things.
to this, no, but to get to
No, I'm not talking about regulation. What I'm talking about is the idea that some technology we're going to pump the brakes on it. That's just never happened in history ever.
they just fall away like a rocket ship, you know, that discards
Yeah.
the boosters one by one. That's us in levels of appreciation for how things are and what we have.
I understand, but I'm saying like you could stop by making things maybe illegal. You could stop some of the massive progression.
to spur the industry.
It's going to happen eventually, but you're going to have to
No.
do it in secret for a while.
When the government does that,
because-
bad things happen.
I agree with Kamar.
We're fucked.
Simon,
We're just going down.
Simon, the problem you end up there with is you then put the power of AI in the hands of the wrong people. Definitely. I mean,
It's insane.
You
No,
could argue
your
that.
military will still work on it.
Okay, so the hands of the wrong people.
Yeah.
the person with the gun telling
Listen,
you you can't have a
I
gun.
don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but left to its own devices, I think we can all clearly see which direction this is heading, and that's
Simon.
Skynet.
I'm not saying I think you're mistaking what I'm saying for no regulation. What I'm saying is right now we live in a world where you can't regulate something you don't understand. And the people in charge of regulating it, they're so far from understanding it that it's, if you watch Congress talk to Google, like any Google executive, like did you see it last year where they were asking the Google executive why their iPhone didn't work? And he was like, it's a different company. But that just shows you the level of ineptitude that we're dealing with at that level where they're so, listen, and I'll give them credit. Like they're out on the campaign path most of the time. They're not reading up on new technologies and AI and shit. So what would you do? Let's say you're in charge right now. How do you get ahead of AI? What do you implement? Like what would your first what would your first order of business be as far as like, what can I do? What can I definitively say will help humanity as far as like regulating AI?
I would put the very first thing I would do.
Yeah.
If I was the technology czar,
You're the guru. Yeah. You're the guy. You're in charge.
I would put massive restrictions on social media to begin with, on these giant companies that are using algorithms to rob people of data. That would be the very first thing that I would do away with. And it would make that illegal to do. And then they would have to adjust right across the board. So you wouldn't have this like vulturistic component to technology. You know what I'm saying? Because a huge part of it seems to me to be this massive money grab by these companies, not a push forward of technology for the greater good of civilization, you know? And that's probably where we're going to end up in trouble, because maybe if we were designing it for like the betterment of man, you would have less of a chance of it going rogue. Whereas, you know, when it's driven by the almighty dollar and you just have to keep your shareholders happy all the time, then yeah, every year you're going to come out with a new killbot or a new fucking whatever it is. The private sector.
But Simon, the problem
I think this takes over every sector.
No, but we're not. No, I asked him what he would do to regulate AI if he was the fucking guy. But Simon,
And you can't imagine it. Is that somewhere near where it was?
Well, no, what I
like
said,
getting rid of racism?
no.
You see, and I haven't even tackled AI yet. I'm starting.
Yes, I know. That's why I was
at the root of the problem, and I think that in turn will help us with this later problem of Skynet. Because I really think that's where this is going, and it might not be in a sentient version like that, but like, listen, eventually, whoever controls this technology is going to be the king.
But I got to ask you, like, okay, so as far as the data collection goes, like obviously we don't know the end game. And we know from corporate history that the end game is just always profit and they don't give a shit about us. But let's assume the positives for a second. Let's say 2029 comes along and due to all the data they've collected, they perfect something. Like let's say that 2029 is actually only coming because of all the data they've collected. Does that lessen the blow for you? Like if 2029 rolls along and they say due to all the data we've collected, we've now cured all major diseases. So because every major corporation, all these social media companies, because they've been collecting so much data for the past 15, 20 years, because they've done that.
It does change it for me.
Okay.
But do you see a sign of that happening? No, every company is just interested in their own bottom line.
No, but and that's fine. Keep that as a separate thing. So because they're all interested in their bottom line, they're collecting all this data. But because we have all this data, a company that hasn't been created yet, okay, comes along and uses all that data to do X, Y, and Z that I just said.
Yeah, they need access to all that data.
That's the thing. That changes the game a little bit, right? Like we don't know the future, obviously. So we can't say that all the data collection is necessarily bad. We know it's nefarious right now, right? We know that for a fact because they're just doing it to sell you more shit that you don't need.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, it's not only selling you shit you don't need, it's the ability to
track you
and to influence you. That seems to be the biggest.
I mean, I'll go back to this octopus murders thing. You know, it's interesting, like life imitating art. You could say, like, when Orwell wrote 1984, it doesn't mean that's the path we were headed towards. Someone could have read 1984 and been like, I'm taking fucking notes.
100%. But you know what also could be?
That's the same thing, though.
I know it is. I get that.
That's just a different way to get.
Yeah.
So you know what also could be the case is a lot of these major works that have influenced life were done on purpose. You know what I mean? To do exactly that. And maybe this information was given to these people and said, like, this is going to happen, write about it now to get people. Like, you know, that's what they say about Disney, right? Like, Disney was created to lessen the blow of every big thing that is eventually going to happen. And these companies like that. And then you look at things like UFOs, for example. They just started making tons of movies about UFOs. Cuddly aliens and this and that, whatever it was, you know what I mean? To get you ready for the fact that one day we're all going to be looking at UFOs, which seems to be the case.
Well, not everyone sees. Someone has the answers.
But I want to go back. What do you do with AI? Because you never answered the initial question.
So I tackle that, and then
Kumar, same to you. Like, what do you do to regulate AI?
I don't. No, you don't. You don't. It's just we create.
But hold on, we regulate everything.
yeah, no, there has to be.
No, but-
that you're not allowed to just make any robot you want.
he
I
said-
put some rules in place.
How they regulate? They had no regulations for the hydrogen bomb, Oppenheimer. They just went for it. We just do that.
Yeah, but they're not selling the bomb to people. You know what I mean?
Their
They're gonna be
desire
selling
to scare
robots.
Russia clouded their judgment.
You're wrong though. If in the 1940s the U.S. government had found out that I was trying to create the nuclear bomb in my garage, they would have been there, and I
hired
would have been
you.
locked up,
Or they would have hired you.
One or the other. Point being though is that is in just because the government does it with no regulation doesn't mean there isn't regulation. That's different.
That's right, because they can do whatever the fuck.
Precisely. Yes, we're talking about the private sector building AI. Like, what do we do about jobs?
No, the competition is
Steve Jobs or like jobs.
Jobs. Like if you knew definitively, if Kurzweiler had said right here in this podcast that all my numbers point to 80% of jobs being lost in the next 10 years, what do we do?
Well, I heard Tucker talking about it the other day. Just as an example, they were
fine.
talking about self-driving trucks.
Yeah.
And he said, look, if I was the president, the very first thing I would do would be to make sure there are never self-driving trucks. I'm outlawing self-driving trucks in the United States because whatever the number
I know
is,
the number.
it's like 85% of all non-high school educated
Yeah.
men in America are driving truck. If that's what's supporting your country, don't be fucking short-sighted. You know what I mean? By optioning that off to a self-driving truck isn't saving you shit. It's going to bankrupt your country. It's going to hurt you. Like, don't be stupid about it. That's why you need regulations, Matt. Otherwise, robots are going to come in here and make podcasts and you're going to be out of a job.
no. They always backfire. It's just like communism or socialism.
No, but here, like, okay, first,
It's if you try to do something for one thing, something else is going to happen.
I mean,
that you don't plan
You
for.
can't not have regulation. We are fucking crazy monkeys that always want to kill each other. We always want to build the biggest of everything as fast as possible. We need regulations. The same way children need structure, they need rules. And when they're left alone to be latchkey kids, it usually doesn't end very well.
Okay,
I mean, come on.
You've made your point. You've asked him what's he going to do with it. He doesn't know really what he's going to do. He's going to start with
can you tell when he wants to move
I
on
know, but
really
I
badly?
actually did tell you exactly what I was going to do. I was going to
Oh, yeah,
start
sorry,
with the
sorry.
social
But
media,
Kamar, I
and then
wanna
I was
ask
going
you-
to put regulation on the robots.
Yes. Yeah, and I say aside like jerk, you can't do that, and then we're arguing.
But can I ask you a question? You love sport, right?
Yes,
Like most sports, you love watching it.
yes.
You recognize the need for rules in those sports, correct? Like you realize that
I've
without
always wondered offsides in hockey. Like if they didn't have it,
No.
what weird plays
Hold on.
would change, and then it would be unwatchable game.
That's different. I'm not saying there aren't certain rules that you don't feel there needs tweaking on or whatever, but I'm saying when you watch sports, you recognize the need for specific rules to be in place, right? Otherwise, it's just mayhem out there. It's chaos.
Very basic
I
rules.
can't
though.
hit you with my stick. No, it's
No,
like,
no,
but yeah, sure, very-
Soccer is the most basic, and I can't touch you.
But even at the
That's
most
it.
basic, we need those rules, right? Or else the game is just mayhem.
Or you
It's
can't
guys
bet on it. You can't bet
exactly.
on it.
Well, forget about the betting. I'm just saying it can't be played. So you do recognize that without some sort of rules normally, like Simon's saying, there is chaos. We do need some sort of normally we have to set some parameters to make the game playable, right? And everything's a game.
What I heard is every time someone's born, that's a big bang.
Okay.
And their existence is contributing to reality as we know it.
Okay.
That's where it all starts.
okay, that's a great theory. What does that have to do with what we're talking about at all?
With rules in sports, we are in. Regulations in sports.
Yeah.
You said regulate AI.
Yeah.
We are not able to do that. Like it's a foolish, naive human fault that we could do that. Just like I think it's a stupid human fault what we're trying to do to save the planet. It's all in vain. So I'm saying you could regulate it.
Hold on, that's different though. Wait.
That's what I think.
It's-
Okay, that's
those
fine.
are two totally different things.
They're the
though,
exact
right?
same to me.
Well, let me explain why.
It's social engineering.
Okay, well, let me explain why I think they're different. You're entitled to your opinion,
It's
of
semantics,
course.
as far as I'm concerned.
Sure, and that's fine. The difference is, of course, we're building this thing, and we could say right now we're not going to build it. And we
are
could turn
not.
it off.
A private company is.
Okay, I meant we, the whole people, human beings on Earth.
Humankind is working on these systems all over the world.
Yes, and
at
we
different levels.
and we could, like Simon said,
Not
we
open
could,
source.
We could tomorrow decide as a whole, like we should have with nuclear bombs. We could just decide as a whole. How about
we
Antarctica?
can't do that. We know we can't do that because we can't even sort out Palestine and
No, hold on. I'll go back. Antarctica.
we can't sort
Antarctica.
out any of this stuff out.
Antarctica.
That we agreed on that.
Yeah.
If that's what it is, everyone should go back to the text that was written there and just apply it to this. Because I don't believe Antarctica exists, so I'm conflicted.
Dude, I heard the craziest podcast this week. It was a woman who was actually on Rogan before, just to tie it all together. It was the lady Annie, who came on and talked about
Nazis.
So can I just try? Can I try to get a word in here? It was the woman who came on to talk about how the Americans and the Russians were in the Cold War, and that was what the UFO thing was all about. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah. She didn't believe in aliens. Her whole thing was that it was just the U.S. was propagating aliens because it was
a race,
Russian. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's that same lady. Anyway, she came on to a show that I suggest everybody listen to, the Danny Jones podcast. It's so good, man. It's like a mix of Rogan and
He's got long hair, right?
and Lex. No, he's a little bit long.
Because remember
like
the guy who was
shaggy.
just on recently? I put him in that same sort of very interesting, insightful conversation. That guy's British, but this guy's American.
This
correct?
guy's American.
Yeah.
He just asks really
Yes.
interesting questions.
He's had a lot of people on.
Her latest book is about the nuclear arms in the world right now. Okay, just the nuclear problem, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how America has a policy that if a nuclear bomb is ever launched at them, immediately a bomb is launched back at the other people. Okay. It takes something like, if North Korea launches a nuke at us,
It's like 12 minutes or whatever.
it's something like 18 minutes to get here. For us to launch a nuke at them, it's 6 minutes with the supersonic, but it has to go over Antarctica. That's the route it has to take, or this way, I guess.
Yeah.
Then it has to go over Russia. So within that 6 minutes, they have to somehow get on the phone with Putin and
That
say,
doesn't make sense. Hold on. It can't go over Antarctica and Russia.
that's the flyway.
Okay.
Just go with it for a second, because neither of us know enough to.
Well, no, I know enough that that's not it, but go ahead.
Really? You know enough that that's not it?
Russia is in the northern hemisphere. Antarctica is in the southernmost point of the southern hemisphere. So your argument is that wherever they're launching this rocket from, it's going to fly literally the entire circumference of the Earth to get to wherever it's going. That just doesn't make sense.
Unless the world was round. Look, man.
Like, hear me out. Just hear me out, Simon. Okay, fine. Go ahead. Let's hear your thing.
Fine.
No, I
Just
want to
go-
hear your
go
thing,
on.
please.
It has to go over Russia.
Sure.
Whether it goes over Antarctica or not, it goes over Russia
Yeah.
to get to North Korea.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that 6 minutes, they have to get in touch with Putin. They have to say, yo, this isn't on its way to you.
Yeah, it's going to
Because
go
he
over
has
you.
no idea. Russia might have the exact same thing the United States has. As soon as a nuke is launched, we launch a nuke back.
Yeah.
So that's crazy to think that, like, literally nuclear destruction of the entire planet hangs by like a thread above every single human being's head every day because of this policy that the United States has. Meanwhile, you think, or I think, that the United States has like a dome, kind of like Israel has an Iron Dome. And when a nuke is flying towards here, they would just shoot it out of the sky or whatever.
They do, though. That Star Wars thing.
The Americans apparently have like 1,800 missiles that can launch at any time to destroy whoever.
Yeah.
They have like 600 that can launch at any time to destroy whatever. The entire Iron Dome consists of 43 missiles. So if you're North Korea and you're planning on trying to take out the United States with a nuclear strike, you're going to send probably like at least 50% of your nukes. You know what I mean? You're not just going to send one. Why wouldn't you just fucking wipe the whole place out? and they only have 43 missiles to. Dude, it's a pretty fucking. I think the whole thing is like we think that everybody's just safe all the time.
So wait, but then that's a great point. Back to AI. If we had just
Thank you.
If we had just stopped and never built that thing, we wouldn't have this problem.
And keep going back. And the regulations.
What I'm saying though is this, Kamar, is
The regulation on nuclear because of fear has made us more dependent on gas. Like I'm just saying, there's the unintended consequence is almost like a rule of our existence.
no, but we didn't. What regulations did we put in for nuclear?
I don't know. Some places you
But
can
you just
build
made
lots
that
of.
up.
No, they have a lot more plants in France or something like that.
What do you mean? There's a lot of regulations that were put on nuclear,
Such as
that you can't build a nuclear reactor anywhere.
really, because California 40% is run off.
Some places
nuclear.
is different. Okay, that's moot.
I think
that's moot.
Most of the United States is not powered by nuclear energy. Then you go to France, and most
think
of it
you
is.
can
Either way,
regulate
we're talking about
AI.
something totally different.
You
Hold on.
think it's possible to regulate AI. I don't.
But hold on, he's right in what he's saying. Like, imagine we didn't have regulations on nuclear energy. You would just have like any private company decide they're going to build a reactor
And
wherever with no, like, they can
Thank
just do
God.
it any way they want. They can use fucking wood structures to hold up atomic bombs.
But I'm
you know?
saying they need regulation.
Of
But
course,
it
yeah.
must be possible because we regulate other civilization countries on the planet not to have nuclear power.
We have pretty-
So that would have to be the same idea of AI, where someone with a gun is telling someone else they can't have a gun. I just.
But you're missing the point too. Is
It obviously is necessary. I don't think it's possible.
what country other than ones that we think are going to bomb us? What countries do we tell not to build nuclear reactors?
Iran.
I said other than countries that we think are going to bomb us.
Oh, I don't know
Because the whole idea,
all of South America,
Probably ones that we don't think have the proper infrastructure to build.
Africa.
Because we don't want a
mo-
bunch of reactors.
most of the
Well, okay,
world.
but that makes sense to you,
meltdowns.
right?
Of course.
Everyone who's not in NATO.
I'm for restrictions on these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can get past that. We can get past this. Because his next.
But there's nothing to get. Hold on, you do this where you're like, we can get past this. This is a discussion, and if we spend 20 minutes on just this, that's fine.
That is fine.
Because I'm just saying.
Okay, you can regulate it all. I don't know how to do it, though.
Well, no, but okay, fine. Move on, Kamar. Go ahead.
He said in 2029, we'll have full energy independence.
Okay.
So if that happens, is anything necessary? Do we even worry about regulation?
We have to worry about everything. Free energy. I've explained this before. Free energy doesn't mean free energy. What it means is that someone is making free energy and selling
Who's
it to
ever
you.
regulating the AI?
No one's
then?
giving you free fucking energy. Let's make that abundantly clear.
So who's ever regulating the AI will have control of the energy.
Well,
that's not good.
The government could give you free energy.
Could they?
Well, okay. Let's say that yeah, they could. Like, you pay taxes and you'll just get free energy. Everybody puts a little antenna on
Isn't
their
that the
car,
biggest thing
and
we war for?
absorb the
That we
energy
have countries
from-
that we're at war with because of energy?
I mean, listen, his whole thing, though, seemed like it was solar and wind. Joe is not behind that at all.
Oh, sorry. I don't believe anything he said because I think he's
perfect.
old and senile. I'm just saying these are his predictions, which were further along than they are now, and he thinks he's moved them up. This is what I could glean from this that wasn't confusing because they had a lot of discussions that he thinks it's moved up.
Maybe though, if AI controlled the solar and that, maybe it would work better.
Yes.
Now it doesn't work because stupid humans
The
tried
secret
to
sauce.
do it,
The secret
and we
sauce.
just fucked it up. You know what I mean?
And it's the solution is probably the easiest thing ever that we're overthinking, or it actually is not possible.
No,
and
but
we have to use oil till we die.
But part of the problem, Kamar, is like someone like you. Like, I could sit here right now and say, because we have a country where we could easily build wind farms everywhere, right?
We don't even have to.
Why do we not have
Weren't
to?
we talking about how Canada is carbon neutral already with all the land we have? Like
All the trees, yeah.
We're at negative. We're trying to do our bit more for the planet, while India and China are just full.
Sure, let him get to his point.
Sorry, my bad.
No. My point was like, listen, if like let's say we run out of oil, okay? It's not a choice anymore, okay? We run out of oil, so now it's not. We don't have further choices, okay? Let's just live in that world for 1 second. We as a country who's rife with land, we have so much land. Like what Simon's saying, if the government tomorrow said, listen, for the next 10 years, taxes are going up, But because they're going up, we're going to build massive wind farms everywhere. And after that 10 years, we will have the infrastructure where no one has to pay for any energy.
That's what they say they're doing right now.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Would you be okay with that?
I would if I thought they'd make a difference, but I really, in my heart of hearts, think they won't, so it's in vain.
I feel like
But hold on, wait. Can I? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
solar, wind, all of these things have been given a bad name because they've been so poorly done. And maybe and I don't know why that is the case. Maybe it's all because of big oil.
But what do you mean poorly done? Because like I know the Netherlands runs almost.
Ours.
Sure.
It's done very well in other places. That's my point. When you go to the Netherlands, when you go to Germany, when you
Costa
go
Rica.
to these other places, they do a really good job of solar. And maybe that's what's his name was
Is it from
talking
regulation?
about.
Because that'd be an argument for your point. Regulation did something great.
Look,
I don't know, or is it just by?
I mean, Kamar,
doing it?
listen. I'll add like I'll play your game a little bit. Like we have recycling in this country, and it's a joke. Nothing gets recycled.
Yeah.
Or very little gets recycled.
But we feel better. We're trying. We're separating
we
stuff.
as individuals feel like we're
we're not-
doing our
but we're
part.
not doing
but as a country,
anything.
we're doing nothing.
What do you mean?
We may be-
recycling doesn't even work. Why did I separate all the colors from the
Yeah,
We
I'm
may
telling
be
you, it does
doing
nothing.
worse than just burying it in your backyard and burning it every once in a while than all the trucks to go around to put it in another factory to move here to ship it to somewhere else.
Yeah.
100%.
It's crazy.
100%. And I don't want to fucking beat off a dead horse to death, but they take that garbage and make it into fucking energy in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Like, this is so dumb.
But like I personally think AI would figure out like geothermal. That's always got my rocks off, right? Using the heat of the center of the planet
Sure.
as a boiler, as your steamer, as your forever thing. That's eerily just like what they think
Your
the
forever sun,
the
yeah.
sun's gonna do,
Yeah.
and maybe tidal. Like I just think there's complete avenues that are doing stuff.
Did you say tidal? Like TIDAL?
like waves?
Yeah.
like
Well,
waves.
they already use that for energy. There's places
Yeah.
that do that. Yeah, they have the things underwater that use
And
the
maybe
current.
the aliens that are actually underwater
You not seen
don't let
that?
us do
Well,
that.
of course. And a dam. What do you think a fucking dam is, you know?
No. That's not. No. What a dam. I mean, yes, a hydroelectric.
creating
Yeah.
fucking
Not all.
energy.
Some dams
Yeah.
are just dams.
I know the good ones are creating energy.
Yeah, no, but these are things that are not even dams. It's just things they put on the shoreline,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
create
gotcha.
energy just by moving back and forth.
Again, I think most things in North America get stifled because of the oil companies. That would be my my
okay,
initial
so-
thought.
okay.
Why does nothing ever work out here? Because it's never supposed to work out. Because the people behind it have ulterior motives to keep oil in play. Go ahead.
Okay, if I'm an oil company
Yes.
and I know oil's going to run out,
Yes.
I'm going to be the one who picks up the alternative energy market.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to go, well, I sold oil.
It's
and
the
now.
vape and the cigarettes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
but-
so if the money is there, for these solutions that we're being pushed on right now, they'll rise to the top. The market will dictate.
and
They
they-
don't need the government like.
And
Well,
they,
no, but-
they probably will. We just haven't got to that point yet where the oil runs out.
See, Kamar,
So
you're
why
actually
would they change? Sorry.
he's actually missing the point. If we had better regulation on these big oil companies, they wouldn't have the stranglehold that Simon's talking about, where they can demonize and crush all these competitors. You see, what you're missing is he mentioned the vape and the cigarettes. That's actually a disingenuous, in my opinion, that's a disingenuous example because the cigarette companies were smart. They were super smart. And most companies don't do this. The cigarette companies got ahead of it and they said, why bother competing? We'll just adjust.
Yes,
The-
yes.
the other thing-
But
But
that's
oil
what
com-
I just
No, no,
said.
but
why compete with solar? Will become
Well,
solar.
here's
Here-
the thing. The other thing that, and I think this is where you're going, is that they own those patents for those vapes for years before they ever put them into.
Yeah.
Why fuck with your cash cow?
And Imperial
Until you need
Imperial
to,
Tobacco
Exactly.
owns those things people put in their mouth. They did that too.
Of course, but wait.
Do you know if Canada was a hardcore conservative, we do not give a fuck about the planet, we would be the richest country in the world?
we wouldn't be the richest country
All
in
the
world.
oil, we have all the oil.
We would not be the richest country.
We
in the world.
would be.
No, we would not.
We'd be one of.
So wait, what do you think that it's our environment initiatives that are keeping us from being the richest company in the world?
Oh, he's right.
From using our oil sands, which is like the third biggest deposit in the world, yeah.
He's not wrong.
We still sell that oil.
But at a regulated, there'd be other consequences for no regulation. Like, go on, boys, dig, baby, dig, go for it. and there'd be pollution and birds would die in the Yukon. I'm not saying what's right. If this AI, all things come to equal, none of these things matter. Pollution, or everything falls apart.
Why?
Here,
Isn't it
let me-
also possible that AI says we just can't do shit? You guys are too far along. You fucked it up too bad.
Great. Would you want to know
No.
that or live
Here.
in?
I'm going to help you, Kamar.
Well, then
Kamar,
AI should take us to Mars.
Kamar's
Sorry,
point
go
is
on.
very simple: is that the singularity will be the solve all. It will not. It will never say I can't fix pollution. You're too far gone. It will always say
It's
everything.
going to be the solution.
It will always say everything you have here is fixable, and I will find the way to fix it.
Well, that fix often ends with kill all the humans, and that's the problem.
I love you said that because then he said why AI will always tell you an answer, and this rudimentary AI is because it's a hallucination.
That's interesting.
So it's almost like the AI creates a dream because it doesn't know how to differentiate. And this is the groundwork of building consciousness. Because you have false memories, or did that happen to me, or did I see it? Did I see it in a show and thought it happened to me, or whatever? And so this might be all because we all said with the video games are going to get all the data from all the players, and that's going to figure out like, oh, I see you want me to be regulated. It's too hard to say, but I think what I got out of this is we will all be here to see if any of these are even close. It's not. This isn't when he's. I
mean, the weird
2050. That felt like things could go wrong, but this feels very soon.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is the weirdest thing is he's not saying like he's saying like yeah, a lot of this will be solved in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Which is like okay. It's just the problem is his timeline. Like you're saying, if he said 2050, we could all sit here and go, you know what? I could maybe see technology fixing a lot of this in the next 25 years. But right now, the position we're in, it's very tough for anyone to sit back and go, I see this all being solved in the next 4 years. It just seems like things are getting worse. But again, if you look at the Pinker things are getting better, right?
And yeah, well, he referenced that, but in our experience,
Simon's done.
In theory, 4 years from now will be like the equivalent of 16 years ago.
And it might even be more than that.
Okay,
it could be 40 years from now.
As long as you understood what I was trying to communicate.
Last year, every year was 10 years. This year, every year is 20 years. Next year, every year is 30 years. By year 4, we're already 300 years in the future.
I don't know.
I
don't know what year it is, but you understand what I'm saying.
I do. And I think that's his point is like at the rate of speed that technology is expanding at this present moment, by year 4, we will be 12,000 years in the future.
I mean, I still, I don't know. It's funny because you spoke, we touched on it. You were like, if they knew, what did you say earlier? You were like, if they knew that that the technology was going to disrupt truckers, right?
Yeah.
You were like, we couldn't do that. It would ruin.
Yeah, if
it
we
would
knew
ruin
that,
the economy.
which we do know it's going to. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, but this is the thing. Like, I agree with you. If you kill 80% of the jobs, the economy's done. Everyone is poor. Everyone's broke. You have the worst. It's the worst of it, right? What I'm saying is we need to fix it. Like we've had this conversation before. We don't want to work shit jobs.
No.
Right? Like we want to be left alone. Like you, Simon, like if the world were taken care of, in a perfect world, you would be left alone to do your art all day. Right?
Correct.
And if you wanted to sell it, you could sell it, but everything would be taken care of otherwise. That's the world we want to live in. That's why, like, if you really go back, that's why we built computers.
Yes, yeah. It's supposed to give us more time to do shit.
This is 100%. It was the 4-day work week, and it was going to be the 3-day work week.
100%. That's the AI they sold us on.
No, but now, now we're in a position where we're actually like, we're supposed to be afraid of that because we need jobs and we have to work. And it's a weird, we should want that world. We should still want that, right? Where we have more time to be with our loved ones than to do the things that matter to us.
They haven't told us that's what's going to happen though, right? Like nobody's promised us that future. Well, so nobody has that to look forward to.
Here's my favorite term of since the pandemic is expert. Like there's consistently experts in things that there's not enough time for you to acquired expertise because there are no experts and it's.
I get what you're saying, like COVID expert. You're like, this thing's been around for 6 months.
I didn't want to say
as a Renaissance man, I'm kind of an expert in everything.
Of course, but if you're an expert in something, you get it wrong, you're You're worse than a fucking
I think
Yahoo Trump supporter who just spelled off
being
what
an
he thinks.
expert in something probably just means that you've given over a certain amount of hours to that given
Sure.
The 10,000 hours. Yeah.
whatever it is.
There's no experts in the simulation and AI where we're going. What will we want to get out of our life? But
No,
There
but I
isn't.
think there are lots of people who have better minds than us to probably
think
out
how
these,
fucking drunk with power some of these guys are.
Did you find him drunk with power, Kurzweil?
No, I found him holding it together. He needed the Joe Biden cocktail, and we could have had a party.
I'm convinced that he felt like Joe was
Mocking him.
not mocking him,
Sorry.
but like pushing him on everything. And why? Not every conversation needs to be pushed on everything. I'm the wrong guy to say this because I push on everything. But
No.
I'm
Listen,
glad you brought that up.
here's where this is. No, but this is where you're right. Like Joe, I don't get it where, normally Joe would have this guy on and would just listen. Just tell me about AI. Tell me where it's going. Tell me what you think. This one, he just wanted to push back on why he thought AI was problematic. And it's like, that's not why you brought this guy on. You're not this guy's moving forward. He doesn't care about what you think. He's going to keep doing the work. You haven't planted new things in his head where he's like, maybe I have to worry about what Joe said. Like, just try asking him the questions that are important and then listening to his answers. That's
No.
what I feel would have made a better podcast.
totally. And if you let this guy go,
Yeah.
maybe he leaks a couple of things he wasn't supposed to because he's an old fucking man. You know what I mean?
'Cause you
About
want-
what he's
you
working
want-
at Google.
You want there to be a leak, that the inside scoop, but I think he's very forthright. You could listen to him on Lexus.
Oh, did he do Lexus as well?
He's
Okay.
done
That'd
Lexus.
probably be a way better podcast.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, the really interesting part about this guy is probably not. It's what he was trying to do, rebuilding his dad.
Yes,
that whole thing.
Absolutely. His motivation.
And maybe that's Joe's problem is that he knows like how kind of crazy this guy is.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
he's the guy who's leading the charge. I don't know. Like that is kind of weird, right? Like this
So
guy's whole life was all about building this thing so he could speak to his dad because he couldn't get over the loss. But I mean, maybe that's how these passion projects push forward, meaning like
you
you
have
have
to-
a dog,
you have to be invested.
you love this dog
Yeah.
so much. You love this dog so much that you're going to put every bit of your brain power to figure out how to clone this dog. Then you clone that dog, and now we're
Now you figured out
cloning
cloning,
things.
yeah.
No, that's exactly it. That is how it
Necessity
is,
is
right?
the mother of
You
invention.
need people who have like
Skin in the game. There has to be a
real
reason.
skin in the game, not money skin in the game.
Yeah.
You can hire the smartest person. You need the most passionate person.
Well, what you're saying is this: if you put me and you in a room, we're both equally qualified. We're both, we both scored the same. We have the same IQ, whatever. Literally the same person. We're in different rooms. You're motivated by wanting to talk to your father again, and I'm over here motivated by money. You're probably going to get the job done twice as fast.
Yeah. If we're looking for a cure for cancer and my child
Your dad
has
is dying of
cancer, yeah,
precisely.
like of 100%. 100%.
Now you can also look at it though. You might fail because you're clouded.
Maybe clouded, exactly.
Yeah.
Might
And
be
I might-
flawed by
precisely,
my
yeah.
ambition
Yeah.
to fix this.
Not even
and I might push through things that needed more trials or needed more this because I was so intent on making this robot have my father's consciousness that I was willing to like give these robots life that they didn't deserve. All of this is possible. And again, why we need a little policing of this thing. And I know everybody hates the idea of having more regulations, but we are a nation built on regulations. Even the United States, who free beyond belief, according to them, they still have a charter of a bill of right, whatever the fuck they have. There are still rules. And remember too, this is a country that fought each other like 200 years ago, not even, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't always so hunky-dory down there. And it's not so hunky-dory. They killed their own president. There is no free election.
Oh, did
they
they?
are as bad as fucking
Did they kill their own president?
Oh, Simon, that's also part of the octopus murders.
the JFK?
No, Reagan
Oh.
stealing the election.
Reagan stealing the election from...
Whoever he was up against, Jimmy Carter.
He stole the election from Jimmy Carter?
Apparently, they went and paid $40 million to ensure that the hostages in Iran stayed hostages.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. I knew this. Yeah.
That's like Trump having them not vote on the border thing so he can use it in his issue.
Well, no,
I think that happens a lot.
Well, no, because this is it. Like
It's
Kamar,
all, I'm saying it's all the same. It
Veep.
happens a
They
lot.
did it on Veep.
Yeah.
Remember?
It happens a
well,
lot.
no, it's because Kamar mentioned Kamar was talking about the election being stolen when the election happened. And I remember I said like, just emphatically no. And again, when I said no, I meant as far as like ballot stuffing.
Yeah, well, the technical.
That's what I'm saying.
Way
But
it was done.
you never do these behind the scenes, like that's how an election could be stolen. Like again, like if you want to say the media stole it or tried to steal it for Hillary, that I can buy. Like that wasn't ballot stuffing. That was them saying Trump's a Russian
And
asset.
the hanging
Trump's-
chads, the Diebold machines that had back doors,
Yeah.
that they cheated fucking what's his name out of the
Al
election.
Gore.
They kept Bernie Sanders from being.
Yeah.
This is what they fucking do, man. That is part of elections, and I'm getting all riled up.
Well, no, but
Let's,
it's an important
end
distinction.
this.
It's an important distinction because like that might have been Trump's mistake. Trump's mistake was they're stuffing ballots, and that's something we all have a tough time getting behind. If you say they're trying to steal the election X, Y, and Z other way, then you might have people
Trump's mistake was making it about him, which is always his mistake. What he should have done is come out with a list showing these are other presidents that have been robbed by this fucking machine that we call the industrial complex. I'm just the latest evidence of this. Like, there are different ways to skin a cat, and he always picks the worst fucking way.
Correct.
We got to be done.
Yeah,
here.
we're done. We're done.
We're
There
2
isn't-
hours into this.
You took some time with your Annie Letterman stuff. He said there's no aliens because we've seen no, what's it called?
Yeah, I hate him.
No galaxy-wide engineering.
For a guy who is like doing the impossible, the limitations he puts on himself, fuck you, you dummy. They might be covering their tracks. They might be so advanced that there is no evidence of them because it's like that. He thinks about things.
I think the problem, Simon, is
fine.
the problem. Listen,
I should have brought it up.
I think the problem is that we like, we're not specialized in anything, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to any one of us. We're just guys out there in the world. We see a lot. We take in a lot.
Renaissance
I think he's got blinders on. Like he lives
past 70. You can't pick up new
I'm not
ideas or
too.
change.
But he's just living in this world, Simon, where like he can't think of
No,
like
it's true when you're so into something. But he had that Neil deGrasse Tyson answer that I just hate. You know what I mean? Like, according to our physics, this isn't possible.
So
well, of course not, dummy.
he should be wrong, and hopefully he doesn't live to see he's wrong. Because then he could die thinking it still worked out the way I thought it was going to be. They had a really weird pushback about phone privacy.
yeah.
I thought that was the most awkward of all the conversations, which is weird because if it's going to be out, like, is it futile to consider we'll have like
His point was interesting,
Privacy.
though, right? Is like,
They
you're
can.
saying it's impossible. I'm saying they didn't do it. It is possible. They are choosing to make sure that back door is very big. That's a different conversation. One I think Joe could totally get behind.
Yeah,
You
but he
know
was,
what I mean?
and that was the weird thing is I was like, Joe is pushing back here in the weirdest way where he could be like you're saying, he could be saying, oh, you're saying they could build it this way. They're choosing not to. And Joe just was like, no, you don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's
I
like,
think they were both kind of agreeing, but coming
Yeah.
at it from totally different places.
and that's where this just completely fell off the rails.
well, I mean, I get what Joe's saying. Joe's saying like if we can't keep any computer program closed, then it's tough to think that you're going to put a computer in your pocket and keep it closed
and
too, right?
that's why when you were saying you can't build a computer program without a back door, I was thinking, well, maybe. Or maybe they just haven't done it yet because it's not in their best interest to do so. To build that perfect system that's impenetrable is not in their best interest, so they haven't done it. It doesn't mean they can't. It doesn't mean they can't do it.
Simon, I think it still goes back to this. Like the reason you can't is because when the FBI gets hacked, they can't have it set up so that the person that hacked it then closes it and then they're just out forever. Right? Like the back door is there so that they can also get in should an emergency happen. And I think that's why it's tough to, and again, quantum computing, AI, it's all going to eliminate all this anyway.
Well, that's interesting. Is the back door like a weird form of regulation? You have to have a regulator on it.
Well, no, but that would make sense, right? Like as a regulation, if you're building a computer program that has the possibility to take over the world, then yes, there should be a backdoor so that somebody can get in there if this thing goes rogue, right?
You guys are
It's
using
like
the wrong
having
word.
the
So
off button on the back of the
That's
Android.
the regulation you want.
the word you're looking for
Some
is fail safe.
Fail-safe,
That's what they are.
fail-safe,
Because think
fail-safe.
about it too.
That's what regulations are. They are fail
Yes.
safes.
Well, think about it. If you
It's a semantic discussion. Hallelujah.
imagine the R&D, okay? Apple spends $22 billion a quarter on R&D. So imagine you spend $1 billion on R&D on this one program and you don't build a backdoor and some hacker asshole comes in and hacks it and
you
closes
lose
it.
all that
You lose
money.
$1 billion. Yeah, and that's
so
the
it's
whole...
just a dollars and cents thing.
Of course, and that's like
Anyways.
again, no, you actually make a great point. A company like Apple, they might actually have so much money that they could just do away with backdoors.
Well, yeah, when they get hacked like that, they just implode the thing. It's like this message
got
will
so much money, yeah.
Anyways, let's he's gone. Let's end this and let's take a break. It doesn't matter. We must be like 3 hours into this first half.
I just want to read his notes out because I think it's for the listeners, like you might understand better why we get to where we get to sometimes.
Oh yeah, we never took. Oh no,
No,
that's
just I
next.
want to read them in order as they're written because I think it's hilarious. Weird privacy phone debate.
That's what we just talked about.
One language.
That's what we should have talked about.
We are always human.
Okay.
Pony anthology.
think
Pong
that's Pong,
anthology.
yeah.
Sorry, my eyes. Analogy. Oh, analogy. I said analogy the first
No,
time.
you said anthology.
Oh, okay.
You
Wow,
said
my
Pony
eyes are-
Anthology, which is a good band name.
Yeah,
a great
fuck,
fucking
I feel vindicated.
The pony anthology.
Poses from back. We're going. We're done.
He asked him.
We're done.
Give him 5 minutes.
Okay, fine.
He asked him, like, so are you reading the book? And he was like, no. And Joe was like, good idea. You should get AI to do it. It was the first time ever he didn't want, it should be your voice, but not you reading it.
Imagine the awkward pauses in that book.
Exactly. Joe is translated in a whole bunch of other languages.
Imagine.
So are we.
So are we.
You haven't heard us in Indian?
Are you serious? We are.
No, but I assume we are.
No, I think you have to do that yourself. And lastly, just out of discussion base, he said we'll always be human. No matter what Joe threw at him, like changing technology, we'll always be human. And it's with David Lee Roth, wabi sabi. The imperfection is what makes it perfect, which is sort of part of the yin and the yang of whatever. Is that.
So at what-
will it learn? Because it's always perfect, right?
What
It's always
makes
like
us human?
wabi sabi.
No. But is it our soul? Is it our brain?
Our
Is
fault. Our fault. We'd all be trees if we were just of pure spirit and everything. Like whatever makes us bad people,
I think it's consciousness.
and we can only decide.
That would be my answer,
Good or
Simon.
So
bad.
if you take the consciousness and you put it into a robot, is that robot human?
It can be something else.
No, I'm asking you though. Is
Yeah, and
that
I'm
robot
telling
human?
you at that point it's something else. It's still partly
so it's
human.
not human.
Why? No, I do.
It's
Listen,
human-esque.
if you have a kid with a black woman, what's that kid? It's a kid. Is it black or white?
That's human. Who cares?
Well, no, but okay, I'm asking you the race of the child. What race is that child?
It's both races.
Okay, so I think if you can successfully put my consciousness in a robot, then it's still partly human, yeah.
Okay.
Well, like, let me ask you, Simon. If my body is gone, but you can still talk to me, not an AI version of me. You can actually talk to me, and you know it's me. Like, do you need that human connection? Like, if I moved to China tomorrow and we talk on, I know you'd never Zoom with me. Our relationship would be
be
done.
over, yeah.
But if I moved to China tomorrow and we decide to do a Zoom call every week,
I hear what you're saying. It's an interesting concept. I don't know.
don't know
Anyways,
either.
we
I don't
get
have an
stuck on
answer.
this for a
Yeah,
long time. So
let's
let's
go.
just.
I give this one a 1. This episode fucking
I mean, it had
stunk.
such interesting discussion. I see Kamar's point, right? Like the topics were really interesting, and the delivery was just really.
The podcast was a 4, Ray was a 1, but it might have been Joe.
So it balances
doing him.
out as a 2.
Listen, it gave us a good. It gave us a good discussion. Like I think that the topic of AI and the future and where we're going is great. This was just too much pushback. Yeah, I give it a 1. Whatever. All right, we are gonna take a break, probably pay some bills, and we'll be right back. We're back. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Links in the description. Be sure to go and check them out. Kamar, name and a number, please. Yeah.
I'm sorry, just before he does.
Yeah.
I'm using like a page I've used before, and
Yeah.
this note is homo no lady. That was gold.
Those were
Homo
the good,
no
those were the
lady.
good old days.
Oh man. Oh man.
2119, James Lindsay.
James.
Well, we were having such an interesting conversation outside, and it leaks right into this, I think. So.
It just so happens to leak right into this. with a couple other things.
A cabal of other things.
Immigration was really where they started, which is just crazy at this point.
Immigration is the greatest form of flattery.
Do you hear what happened in Canada?
What?
Quebec and Ontario both asked to take over their immigration.
Who's?
The federal government has a policy. This is how many we're having, and they said we don't want you in charge of it anymore. We want to take over it. Just like they asked 2 days ago for them to undo the tax, all the provinces.
Yeah. Do you know what I believe? I looked into this. So I'm not saying it's not some loophole that's being exploited by China, Russia, outside players, whatever. I'm not saying that they're not sending hundreds of thousands of people to the southern border. I'm not saying that's not happening. What I did realize, though, is they're not, it's not illegal. They're not coming in illegally.
They're asylum seekers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is legal.
Yeah.
And because they're presenting themselves with identification, in most cases, I realize some people are showing up without it. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not even saying I like it, but I didn't realize that until I looked into it this week. They're not, like when Andrew Callahan,
They're not. It's not federally illegal.
well, it's protected under,
Texas is-
it's protected under the Geneva Convention, which everyone signed
If
on
anyone
to.
shows up at your door,
Yeah. So in the Geneva Convention, Simon, it says that if you seek asylum, they have to let you in, right? Isn't that? So all these people are being sent there and being told, show up, present yourself, say you're seeking asylum, show ID, get on the bus. They'll send you to New York or Chicago or wherever the fuck. Again, I'm not saying
a
it's
sanctuary.
Again,
city.
I'm not saying it's not by design.
So we have that as well then? Because
Every country.
we're part of NATO.
Every country.
Everybody who's part of NATO.
Everyone that
I
signed the
assume.
Geneva Convention,
Well, I
I'm pretty sure.
assume that's a NATO thing, isn't it?
Probably, I guess.
on top of that'd be on top of like Ukrainian
Yeah.
immigration or our legitimate immigration, where we have a level of they want something like 250,000 for the next 2 years, 500,000 in the next 2 years, and we're already it seems like we're bursting at the seam. But here
We're bursting at the seam.
Yeah, there's not enough housing. We have a housing
it's
crisis
housing,
in this
but if
country.
you go down the DMV or that equivalent, all that stuff is they're
Rampacked.
stressed out. People getting benefits, paying bills, but the infrastructure is not grown in proportional to the amount of people coming in. And just I'm going to sound like a right wing lunatic. I'm just going to get it out, but it's like one of those 100,000 abortions a year in Canada, and we need 100,000 a year immigration to keep our country going. It's just weird how those work out. 250,000 is too much. We do need a lot of immigrants, though, still to keep the country going. It's not we would fall apart if we had no immigrants whatsoever. But we're having 100,000 abortions, and say 30,000 more are those crazy things where they should happen. The other 70,000 is would be Canadians. Weird, eh?
I don't know if it's weird.
I don't know if I don't care about the correlation between the number per se. It's weird that we have to bring in a certain amount of people each year and we kill a certain amount of people each
Our
year.
system is out of whack. If that's what's happening, you mean? Like, what's the plan here?
What's the plan here?
Well, why is it that we have to bring in all these people?
For jobs to build houses.
But we don't have the housing. So why would we
they're
want
here
the
to build the
people?
houses?
To build the houses for themselves.
We obviously there's somehow a labor shortage or so. I actually don't know. We're told we need immigration or like
Simon,
ever since Japan's falling apart because they don't have no immigration. You know?
Well, the idea is very simple. We're an aging population who aren't having enough kids. Immigrants solve that problem because it's a new head in the country, and they're going to have kids. Immigrants.
Do you
tend to
think
have,
it would be ridiculous to insist that people have children? Meaning that,
Yes, that would be ridiculous.
No. But just hear me out for a second.
I'm all ears, buddy.
Sometimes if there's a world war,
Yeah.
and there's like conscription or something, you just do what's for the better good, because if you don't, that's the end of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
That's why something like that was allowed to proceed. I imagine we thought that the Germans were going to literally like destroy our way of lives.
Yeah.
And if we didn't do this, we were all fucked. If we end up with no people left, then we are fucked. You know what I mean? So at some point, it seems weirdly
the biggest
Scarlet. No, sorry, go ahead. Handmaid's Tale.
The biggest thing is how taxes constantly go up. Like, can't you figure this out that it runs itself? And more added, there's just more to the pot, but everything just runs in a deficit for some reason. It's weird how property taxes goes up the next, like, what are we getting more? It's just, it has to pay the debt on the money we're borrowing that we don't have. And I don't know.
Well, the problem, Kamar, is that like what you're saying is sound, except if you build a road, that road's never going to make money. You have to build roads.
But because that road exists, a whole bunch of other money's made.
Yeah, but that's where taxes come in.
And to upkeep the roads,
What you're saying, those are taxes keep going up. That's not necessarily true.
What do you mean? When was the last time your taxes went down?
no, they don't go down.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is he acts like what he's saying is
Taxes should always be the same because this is how much money we need to collect to run it this way.
yeah, but there's always new things. Like a city gets bigger, so how do you?
Well, no, but a lot of the money that you pay in taxes. Well, I don't know. if
No, the
that's
problem
true.
is pipes that have been using for 100 years blow up, and then
Yeah,
the
they
city's
need to
got to spend
replace
money
them,
that
yeah.
they didn't even do that. It's just this.
Like snow removal. Let's use that as an example. Like how we have to remove the snow in the city.
Sure, but this year they're obviously operating at a huge surplus, right?
Yeah.
Like, and maybe there's never snow again. Who knows?
Is that money? That money is going to go to
Well, the hope is that it will go to
homeless?
another city service.
I don't think it does.
another city surplus.
City service.
Another city on the same budget. Okay, I thought you were saying send the money to another city, but
No,
Like
no.
maybe garbage is on the same budget.
Precisely.
But
Or
it isn't. They're
no,
all
but
on
parks
their own.
could be- you know what
But
I-
I don't think it is.
no, it seems like if it's always growing, that means there should be more taxes coming in. So it's a windfall on what we've already planned for it to be.
We were always okay with paying taxes because things were getting better. You were getting better things for your dollar, right? And that just isn't necessarily.
And now it
okay, but-
appears taxes are going up and things
are
are
getting worse. Yeah.
Well, listen. Here's the okay. Let's say we
Perception,
got
maybe.
Perception.
Let's say we got rid of 95% of the government waste, just for the sake of this argument.
Dave Smith in the house.
No, but let's just say we
Yeah,
did that. Okay,
okay.
so because we're not going to get rid of 100%. I think we realize that. There's
no,
always going to
let's
be
get rid of 80%. I think we'd
sure.
be happy.
Okay, 80%. Okay, so the government's running at like its highest. I still, Kamar, I think like what you're saying is we spend more money than we collect, right? That's what you're saying?
Always.
Yeah.
That's the model.
Yeah. So what you're saying is I don't want my taxes to go up, but I want them to keep spending the same amount of money. It doesn't work that way. Like what I'm saying is this.
The bloated services is the money. The tax dollars, instead of going to
Yeah.
the system, are going to the system to have a meeting about the solution.
I get it, but that's my kind of my point is like, if you get rid of, you still come into the problem where if you get rid of all the bloat, it still probably isn't enough money.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How much of our tax goes to like pay off the debt on funding Ukraine?
No idea.
Pay off the debt funding Ukraine.
Well, it's costing us billions of dollars. We're sending billions of dollars over there.
No,
Where
but-
does that
no, no, no.
money
okay.
come from?
Hold on.
So what you're
That
asking,
puts our country in debt.
if
No,
you have
hold on.
$1, is 10 cents of that going to Ukraine?
Hold on. Kamar has mentioned it before. Like when you hear that the U.S. has given them $30 billion, they're not sending over a plane full of cash. They're usually giving them old equipment in the form. So
They're, as far as I understand with the United States, yes, they are doing that. They are also giving them new equipment, drones and whatnot. And they're also running their government pretty much right now. So they're paying everybody's pensions or whatever the fuck they have to pay. That money comes from somewhere. But us too, like we're giving lots of money to all sorts of things all the time.
Yeah.
World aid, this
Yeah,
and that.
I agree,
That's
yeah.
what I'm asking. How much of what we pay in taxes
goes to foreign aid.
is that equivalent, or does that not even come into our taxes? Is that a whole different? Well, it must.
No, of
And
course,
when we pay
foreign
a
aid goes
federal
into it,
tax,
yeah.
then so that's a problem too, right? Because
Yeah, listen, hold on. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that where our tax dollar goes is always. I like Australia. I don't know if you know this, but in Australia,
you get to vote on where it goes.
no,
right?
no.
Oh.
When you get your bill, when you get your tax bill, they send you a sheet, and on that sheet, there's a giant pie chart, and it shows you how much you paid in taxes and exactly where each one of those dollars went. So it'll say schools. if you spent, $10,000 last year on taxes, 3,000 went to schools, 1,000 went to roads, 500 went to fucking administrative, whatever.
It would be cool if you got to vote on where your money went.
We've all agreed on this before, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, move on.
But it would appear that China is that.
Is what?
Where, well, he thinks that the progressive movement is just moving towards communism. Like he may end up as China eventually.
Well, his whole China thing was interesting because I think I totally agree with it. China was like on one trajectory, probably a much more ancient one where they were worried about running their country one way. And then America gets involved and makes it this hub of capitalism and the whole thing changes, right? Like it becomes this pseudo, I don't even know, commerce, capitalism, whatever it is.
I think more though, what I got out of it was he was talking about it was all these students and social justice warriors and progressive people who decided China wasn't right. And they killed people, they tore down institutions, they burned it all down to start again from the ashes. And now in 2024, it appears to be very successful, whether there's privacy concerns and human rights, but it seems to really be thriving. So maybe that's what's best is for us to go that way.
Not caring about human rights is the best way to go.
Well,
I thought he said that
we all have blood on our hands. Every country has blood on their hands.
I'm not
for that.
disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just saying to openly.
To point anyone else out. That's all.
No. But listen, they have concentration camps in China.
We have
do they not?
reservations.
A reservation is not a concentration
No,
camp.
it's not as bad, but
Nowhere near as bad.
I think
Forced
they call
labor.
them. I think it's work camps. I think that.
Okay, okay. Well, my apologies. Thanks for putting the left spin on it. Nice little bow there.
Anyway,
Kamar, listen, it's probably coming, but you know what the problem is it's going to be. It's going to be the conservatives that go that route. And they're going to be pushed there by the left, being as crazy as they are.
I think, though, that is, of course, what you think, but it's counterintuitive with this stuff.
No, you're missing my point. I get that it doesn't seem on paper. It seems on paper like the conservative is the one fighting for the freedom and all that shit. What I'm saying is this. The left is going to keep pushing this bullshit too far. And the right, like, I don't know if you saw The Daily Show this week. Like, there are already tons of people on the right that want Donald Trump to be a dictator. They want him to be the president forever until he dies. That is not the U.S. freedom. That's not what the founding fathers wanted.
who wants that?
Dude, The Daily Show interviewed tons of people that were like, I think Donald Trump should be a dictator. I think he should run the country.
But everyone says that despite China's egregious human rights, it really runs efficiently. They get stuff done. Now, whether half the buildings are falling or whatever, even our prime minister, Doofus Trudeau, has said, I admire China because they have one leader. This is why taxes probably go up. I'll tell you this, is switching back and forth elections and stuff, undoing stuff that was just done. Like all that red tape of changing offices, that's all paid with tax dollars.
Yeah.
So maybe one dictator, and hopefully it's the
listen,
AI and not a corrupt human being.
here's what's really crazy is the prime minister and his family steal $36 million from the taxpayers. And then the taxpayers foot the bill to take that thing to trial or for there to be an investigation for them to not get the money back.
Both sides.
Of course, yeah. And then that same prime minister enacts an emergency act that no one stops him from doing that's clearly illegal. And then the taxpayers pay the bill to investigate that as well to find out that that was illegal. And now he's being sued. Now our prime minister is being sued by people for all that costs money, Kamar. Yes.
I'll be a happy day if he has to pay someone like $1 or just something even ceremonial at the end of all this. That'll be a great, and he won't be prime minister at that time.
But I mean, Kamar, you talked about our taxes never going down. They will. Like if Pierre Poilievre gets elected.
Jill, baby Jill.
Well, no, but he'll immediately.
Jill, baby Jill, they will. He'll axe the tax.
He'll immediately get rid
Let's go.
of. No, but like the carbon tax will disappear.
Well, I think it's already going to disappear.
It's looking that way, yeah.
And then that'll just be like the emperor has no clothes.
The best is that they reverse the plastic straw thing.
So stupid.
Well, that shows change is possible. So that's progress.
No, but that literally was one. Like I had never heard of there being an epidemic of turtles getting straws up their noses. That was literally one picture of a turtle with a straw up its nose.
Yeah.
That turned all straws paper.
Now, I've said all my right-wing stuff. What I was trying to say is the extremes are the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
But like the extremes of the right are, let me have guns and no abortions.
No, that is not the extreme of the right, but go on. I like how you're candy coating this for your side.
The extreme is we're seeing KKK. Like help me. I'm trying to pick things that we can say these are the extreme, won't budge that makes someone a right winger.
Yeah, I would. Oh, there's also like militias all over the states.
No.
That's guns. That's guns.
I see.
No,
what,
it's not
I
guns.
see what you're getting at.
I'm just trying to ask.
Okay, so yes, let's say yes.
On the left, it's destroy the family unit and queer theory.
See, do you see what he's doing
Which
here?
is
Like, Kamar, hold on. No. If you went out on the street and you found the most left-wing progressive, pink hair, pierced ears, painted nails, if you ask them, is your goal to destroy the family unit? How many of them are going to answer yes?
I say 50%.
Maybe they don't
Hold
even
on.
know what they're doing.
You think 50% of them are going to answer yes? I would like to destroy the family unit. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
But maybe they're just useful idiots. That's a different
argument. Story, though. But
is it though? They still, if that still exists.
So this is it. This is from the internet, and he has his own interpretation. But this came out in 1990, and I'm sure our prime minister really felt he got a lot of the class. But it's called queer theory.
Yeah.
It was introduced in 1990.
Yeah, we're aware. We listened to the episode.
This is their definition compared to what James and Lindsay sort of described it as. Could you read it?
yeah.
Because you're better.
Takes a big man.
Queer theory is an interdisciplinary field that encourages one to look at the world through new avenues. It is a way of thinking that dismantles traditional assumptions about gender and sexual identity, challenges traditional academic approaches, and fights against social inequality. Where does this say anything about dismantling the family?
Traditional. All that traditional stuff. We'll look at it
I mean, that
differently.
is a weird definition.
Hold on. It says,
their
hold on,
definition.
wait. It says challenges traditional academic approaches. What does
And
that?
sex and gender.
It says traditional assumptions about gender and sexual identities. What does that say about the family? Where is the tearing down the family in there? I guess you're reading really between the lines, but explain it to me,
Well,
and
then-
I want to get there with you.
Yeah, but okay. Anyways, it's
Well, no,
fine.
I can read it again.
No. You're right semantically. That's a weird definition.
Hold on. I'm not saying this. Wait.
Challenges is tearing.
Just hear me out. I'm not saying
No,
this.
no,
isn't-
he's right though. There was no family unit talk there. They didn't even mention the family.
I'm not
unit.
saying
they
this
didn't
isn't a-
even get there through like a Pepe Sylvia.
I'm not saying this isn't a weird statement, Kamar. I'm not saying that on its face. That's not it. I'm just saying I can't read between the lines and see where this says we want to tear down the family unit.
But that's the talking point right now.
Yeah,
when
yeah, and
you
I'm-
talk to like a conspiracy person,
I know.
the far left. That's like the theory is that they're trying to like tear apart the same way they took black men away from families in the 60s and 70s to destabilize families to make sure that the children were not all right. Isn't this the idea?
Are you talking about lead a child to crisis and then use the crisis to build a desire for social justice?
Yeah, I think so.
The weird thing to me is this, though, is like, you can argue that they're trying to do that. 50%, literally, you could cut it down the middle. 50% of the U.S. ain't having that shit and never will.
No, but the fact
I think it's
that-
way more than that. And that's the
It's
illusion that's
no, but
going.
I'm just saying, let's be generous and say it's 50%.
All the people, because the percentage of the people are like, yeah, I think it's a little ridiculous, but
I get you. I'm not saying that
a
out loud.
person
Of
like
course,
Kamar.
yeah.
I'm not going to have that opinion.
Yeah.
but we're the same.
Yeah.
The person who doesn't say and thinks it is the same person.
I agree.
Like,
No, Kamar, I was
I
just
don't know
saying
what you're doing.
what I was saying was let's make it 50%. Let's just say, for the sake of this argument, that the US is split 50-50, that it's right and left, and all the left feels exactly that way. It still means that 50%, it still means that 150 million people are like, I'm not having that shit. So I just don't see how, even if the left was trying this, I don't see it being successful. There's still so many Christian conservatives in the States, and that's what makes
oh, and I've told you what's going to stop them, or keep it the battle of the ages, you will, is Muslims. Muslims are more conservative than right-wing conservatives. So it is always going to be a clash unless AI takes over and sorts everything out. But
And I'm telling you, if the Democrats
I
plan,
hate to say it sounds like I'm an agenda. Sure, I'm a fucking hateful person, but at the extreme of the left is far more concerned to me than the extreme of the right. Both are batshit crazy.
We're not gonna like AI's approach to this.
Well,
They're just
especially
gonna
with ideology.
cut off everybody's genitalia, so we're all like Barbie and Ken, and they're gonna fertilize us through like our noses or something, you know, to implant babies. And
I mean, can you imagine how much we'd get done if we didn't care about fucking?
well, that's the gray aliens. They're fucking workhorses.
Dude, we might be living on
'cause
Mars by like
that's why
2034
their
if they got rid
brains
of
are
fucking
so
right now.
fucking big, dude.
They looked up someone who was accused of being a Nazi, and in the fact check, it came out he did Nazi stuff, but that doesn't mean he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
was the like rewriting of
Yeah,
history.
that's what you call mental gymnastics.
Exactly. Corporations are not doing what's right. It's just for money. All this ESG thing, Dylan Mulvaney. It started with a guy who said, if you give these factors, saving the environment is where the economy is going. So if we invest in companies that knock off these environmental, like the actual planet,
Yeah.
You should be profitable. And they just switched it on to social engineering.
The Dylan Mulvaney thing is so fucking interesting, though, when you look at it in that regard. Like, forget the fallout for a second. Just where it starts is Bud Light needs to hit this ESG score.
Wants
Yeah,
to
we're with
for
you.
bonuses for all the execs.
For everybody.
We did what looks good. We get bonuses.
Well, not only that, for the shareholders, they have to do their best to have the most profitable year ever. The way you're going to have the most profitable year is by not having to pay this tax, which you're going to save by putting Dylan Mulvaney's face on the can, which is exactly what they do. They just don't realize that the fallout is going to be bigger than the amount that they saved. So we think, but maybe in the end,
it's all going to work out.
well, we don't know how much they saved by doing that with the ESG score. Maybe it's more than the $1 billion that they lost or
They
whatever.
lost
it was.
26 billion. It wasn't more than that.
It wasn't. They fucked up for sure. But the fact that it started for that reason, they weren't trying to make a social commentary. Bud Light doesn't give a fuck about any of that stuff. They told you they're all like, nobody's liberal in that company. You know what I mean? They literally were trying to do like a business decision and fucked up.
Was it this one? Just I think it's in Spain or something. Doritos or someone had a transgender person, and they found their tweets about having sex with children.
Well, again, you could get that from a person who's not transgender.
But that leads me to
I
Drake.
mean, Subway had Jared, and that,
Yep.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like that had nothing to do with.
We praised a survivor who ended up being a Nazi. Like, see, sometimes you just don't do your due diligence, you know?
Drag Queen Story Hour. If the school board is paying them to come in, that's obscene because teachers are out buying their own supplies. That's a luxury.
Yeah.
If the drag queens want to go do it for free, it's weird too.
I don't understand the drag queen story hour at all. Like, I don't get it.
Well, you're a hateful person.
It's not
You should
it's
understand
not a
and
hate.
accept. No, I don't
No,
believe that.
I
Simon.
would understand if they had a transgender story hour. That would make sense if you're trying to like, but since when drag queen story hour? Why drag queens have nothing to do with the transgender people?
And I've been accepting of drag queens since I was 8. They're not a protected thing that is scary. Remember Crocodile Dundee? When he grabs her by
Yeah.
and the buddy, it's a guy. It's like it was like my uncle is 86 years old and one of his best friends dressed like a woman. And my uncle is racist as it gets. You know what I mean? Like he's cut from that cloth. He's not a hateful person, but he's just a white old Canadian. And that was, I'm not condemning him. He would agree with me. And he was accepting of that in the 70s and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's always been accepted. Them trying to advertise that they are this persecuted thing is the trick, is the...
I want to know this, is where did it start?
1990, that guy, Queer Theory.
No. The first fucking drag queen reading to kids.
Oh, I don't know.
No, but it matters,
I
right?
always just thought it was a trope.
be what the intention and what everything was.
Yeah, no, because I think it matters. Like, if
I
you
don't know.
if you find out, and again, I'm just playing it. I don't know this. This could be way the fuck off. It could be some sinister shit. But let's just say there was like a gay dude who was really fucking good with kids. Like, he was a teacher, and he just came in one day dressed as like Esmeralda the princess and read to the kids, and the kids loved it. And they never even knew it was their teacher, or almost like a Snuffleupagus type thing. Like, oh, whenever Miss Esmeralda's here, Jared isn't here. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. And
Don't use Jared.
touche.
Go with Jonathan.
Sure. My point is like, you can see how something could start with really good intention. Just one thing, right? This one guy did it and it worked. And then from there on, like, Joe down the street was like, I'm going to go read it. And then and again, I'm not saying it doesn't then get pushed out as an agenda.
Or it's happened 8 times.
Only 8 times. Yeah. And then it's been, and the churn is, you're right.
I don't know.
That's different than drag queens, first of all. That's just a guy dressing up as a girl. You see that all the time.
But that's drag. That's a drag queen.
Well, that's what our definition
in
is.
movies.
This has nothing to do with trans, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm saying that, but also drag queens are like people who do that. There's a difference between that and you just dressing up like
I
a
think
woman.
the
No,
weird
but maybe he
thing
does it in his spare time and was like, you know what, I'm going to
Well,
bring
that's different.
is what it's
That's a
called is the
different,
alphabet community. And so they've created a coalition without consensus.
But wait,
I don't like when
hold
you
on.
start doing
Wait,
this.
but Kamar brought up a good point. Let's say for just the sake of this argument that maybe it is just 15 incidences. And what if we find out
That's egregious.
And what if we find out that they're also at the most progressive schools, right? Because that's a thing too. Like, there's schools in LA,
Lots of schools, no play on my ride.
precisely, where their parents are like, oh no, they don't give grades here. They just judge them based on how they, that sort of thing. Like, if you found out
it's
that,
like there was only one Nazi flag. There wasn't 17 Nazi flags at the trucker rally. It
exactly,
was one
yes, this is
flag
what I'm
and
saying.
one picture. I
yeah,
get
and it was at the most progressive schools where, again,
I'm
like,
proud of you.
no, but think about it too, because like a right wing person could see that and be agitated and be like, I'm never at my school. And it's like, dude, you live in Arkansas. Believe me, it's never going to be at your school. Like, you don't have to worry.
So what's your contention, though, that there are only 5, or more likely that it started with only these 5 and then other people saw that these people got attention, so they do it in their own city?
My contention is that it probably, if it has, it probably doesn't happen like weekly in schools. It's probably been a few times. Again, not
No.
15.
We're just saying this is a hypothetical. In my heart of hearts, in my heart of hearts, I'm sure this happened 2,000 times. That's what I believe.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. If
But
in
is
the
it a
last
copycat
hold on,
thing?
It doesn't matter.
No,
If
but
they
wait.
do it for free, it's
Wait.
weird. If they're getting paid, it's unjust.
Sure. But how many schools do you think there are in America? If it's happened 2,000, no, but just hear me out. If you say it's happened 2,000 times in the last 5 years in schools across America,
I mean, there's got to be a lot of schools in America. In every town, there's multiple schools.
this is my point. But so I go back to, I said 50 and you were like, whoa, it's not 50. I'm with you. It's probably not 50. It's probably closer to 2 or 5,000 or 10,000. If you hear that it's 2,000 times it's happened
Well, it depends on how many schools there are.
Okay, again, across the entirety of the states, are you all of a sudden,
That's still not very many, but it's still 2,000.
is it worrisome to the point where it's dominating our news cycle?
97,000 public schools
Okay.
So let's call it 100,000. That's public schools?
in the United States.
And
as
then
of-
all the
as of
private
2021.
schools.
Okay, so then we add-
So probably 200,000.
Sure. Let's say
There's at least as many private
I would
schools
assume
as
there
public
is.
schools, if not more.
I would say half. Let's say 150,000 schools.
Okay. Anyways,
I'm just saying, if it's only happened 2,000 times in the last 5 years, I don't think we should be raising the wildest red flag. I also will go back to it. I guarantee you this shit is happening at the most progressive schools in the most progressive cities.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you were to see, I guess it'd be hetero theory. If there's an actual course on not challenging traditional, that would seem way more crazy than queer theory does. They're both crazy.
if you found out that there was one in Ottawa, would you be surprised?
No.
There must be. There must be.
We're a progressive city, though.
Okay.
I said it again. Like,
Gotcha.
I bet you it's happening at the most progressive schools in the most progressive cities. That's all. That's my contention.
Okay. Let's move on to the.
There's no universal cancer tests.
No, he said we don't universally
We don't.
screen.
We don't. They don't go every year. Go check for cancer. Like you think we would do in this? Get your COVID test every time. Like
I mean,
because everyone would have cancer. He's saying, or that's what I thought he was saying. and they wouldn't know if they had cancer.
Well, he talked about a lot of false tests and things
False
like that.
positive. Everyone's different, but you would think that's something because cancer is the worst thing in the world, and you don't want it. And
His statistics to me were weird though, because he was like, you could get the false negative 3 times. And I was like, what statistically are the odds of you getting a false positive 3 times?
I'm glad you brought that up. Sidebar: they're parents with multiple trans kids. Like that's you're not real.
What are the odds of that?
they're-
They're
they're-
infinitesimal.
Yeah,
they're
I
just
agree.
not. And so
Unless it's a genetic thing.
no, it's not. It can't be. Multiple in the same.
But don't say we can't, because we find out new things about science
I'm
all the
skeptical
time.
of the whole thing and influence, and like, oh, so and so's doing it.
Well, Kamar, can I ask you a question? What do you think the rate is of gay children amongst conservatives versus liberals? Just out of curiosity.
There's way more to liberals.
Now, do you
Gay kids come from conservatives. Liberals turn to gay. No, conservatives make gay kids, and liberals make conservative kids. I'm just thinking opposites. Like, to answer your
didn't that
question.
Sorry, go on with what you were.
Well, my point was simply that you may find a higher instance of gay kids amongst liberal families because liberal families wouldn't be as
yeah, they wouldn't like kick them out if they found out they had a gay child, or
Yeah, or
the
just-
kid wouldn't be worried about it. I get it.
That's the point. So what I'm saying is, like, you can sit there and say, the odds of you having a transgender child, like this conversation might have happened about gay people in the 40s, and you know that conversation now wouldn't look particularly great. I don't care about how the conversation looks. I'm not saying like, history will frown upon it.
But this is what I meant to ask earlier, when they were trying to like make gay normal,
Yeah. Normalize gay.
normalize
Yeah.
people being gay.
Yeah.
Did they have like gay story hour? Was that a thing where they brought
This is
I
a
bet
gay
it was.
people into the
No,
school?
but-
Well,
I bet
did
it was.
they do it
No,
for?
this
It
is-
must have been too late
This
for
is
you.
some sort of weird, strange misnomer where there's some missing information because, as we've known from the guy with the 300s, gay isn't a new concept at all. Like, at all.
No, but okay.
Just introducing it, I don't think it.
Hold on, but you're missing the
no,
point.
no, we said
1990.
normalized, not
1990,
introduced.
queer theory.
You're missing the point, though. Anywhere that had religion, gay was frowned upon. The
That's
U.S.
right,
was
yeah.
built upon religion.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so for the first 150 years, gay was heavily frowned upon.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what they were doing in Roman times or the Greeks were doing.
Remember, sodomy is still a crime in
Alabama
multiple
or
world.
states.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That's all I'm saying is like all I'm saying, Kamar, is there's a possibility that 50 years from now, and you can sit here and say, I still think it'll be by design, and I don't know whether you're right or wrong. I don't care. There's a chance that 50 years from now, 1 in 5 people walking around as trans.
No problem. I have no problem with that.
I know you don't. I'm just saying that the idea of normalizing it to kids is not like
One in 5 people seems like a lot
No.
of people.
they would have said that in the 40s about gay.
Man,
Not 1 in 5 people are gay.
1 in 6.
Is that right?
That's right.
1 in 6 people are
1
gay.
in 6 people.
Shut up.
Yes.
No.
Look it up.
In the world.
Yes.
No.
Look it up.
That can't be right.
but 1 in .001 is trans. My point being is
that can't be right.
But again, Kamar, if you
an
would
actual physical agenda
sure, but just stop again. If you had
at
taken
the academic level.
Okay.
And we've gone over academia is mostly just there. There isn't a discussion because if you bring in someone else with a dissenting opinion, they're hateful. Like it's not.
do you think kids should be taught religion?
Well, that's what we talked about last week. Why did I say the Lord's Prayer?
Yeah, but that's
How did I know that?
How do you
no, but that's
do I?
my point is this: we're allowed to indoctrinate kids with things that we feel are righteous and right, but the things that anyone like we don't. History has taught us that we never get it right. Right? Would you agree with that?
Can I answer the
Yeah,
question
sure,
you asked? When they said they get the Lord's Prayer, they're getting rid of the Lord's Prayer because it could offend someone else. I was like, oh, I get that, sure. Like, I don't get it, but I like that it was a shared experience that everyone I know with, we all did that.
Yeah, but happy birthday is a shared experience. It doesn't mean shit.
Happy birthday.
3% worldwide.
I don't know.
Fine, do America.
I don't know if Happy Birthday
Or North
is-
America.
I don't know if Happy Birthday, like, does every country sing Happy Birthday in a different language, same tune? So I don't know if it's a shared experience. Religion is a way more easier. Like it's this one book. It's all based on. And
No, but my
when
point-
we have a confusion, priests refer to the book as their argument point.
Sure, my point was you just made a simple statement that it was a shared experience. And I was just saying that anything could be a shared experience if done. Like the national anthem is something we all
Still is.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is just that it doesn't mean shit. Like a shared experience doesn't mean anything. Like my point is,
Well, I think they're both the same. Like maybe you shouldn't have the national anthem. Maybe we shouldn't think patriotism and
my point.
nationalism. Oh, do you know this? My sister.
20%.
So 2 out of 10. So 1 in 5.
Yeah, he's right. There's kids in my sister's class that take a knee during the national anthem.
During our national anthem?
Yeah.
The Canadian national anthem.
But
It's
you-
not the fucking NFL.
I'm just curious though. Like,
Is that wild though?
That is
not-
wild.
Well, I'll tell you why I don't care. What right do you have in this country? You have the right to protest whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
you have the right to do whatever you want.
And I don't know why we play the national anthem. In the same way that I didn't know why we did the Lord's Prayer, but I wasn't mad at it. But when they said you're forcing this religion on someone else who has another religion, I said, well, that's progressive. I don't want to offend them. And then I'm not saying Merry Christmas, and it gets to that weird slippery slope.
But it's not a slippery slope. You still say Merry Christmas. You act like you're not allowed to say it, but you say it all the time. I say it all the time.
I do. You asked me, is it wrong to kids' religion? And my final answer, I don't know.
I guess, how about this? Can I word it this way? How many people do you think would be religious if you weren't taught it as a child? And what I mean is there's no mention of religion at home or at school. And then at 18, if you want to pick up a book, if you want to read the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, if you want to read any of those and then become religious, all the power to you. How many people do you think would be religious?
I think half of the people.
I think
You
so.
still think it would?
At least.
Yes.
At least.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, regardless, will end up at some point you start thinking about things. And then you got to you come to this crossroads and I'm either going to believe or I'm not going to believe.
But where are you at?
Well, I'm somewhere in between.
Okay, so maybe you don't get like
You're further,
No, but I mean,
you're further away from something than you were 10 years ago. Have you moved in the last 10
I
years on something?
believe in God. I just don't think I find my God at a church or a synagogue. I don't need to go there to.
But do you live your life in fear of that God?
Yes,
You do.
very much so. I always have.
So you think when you die,
Well,
you're
karma,
going to be...
God, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Yes, I live in fear of it.
Interesting.
But
But
follow that cosmic karma thing very carefully.
So let me take this one step further. If you had never been taught about God, would you have gotten there on your own?
That's interesting. Well, I don't know, Matt, because if you're not taught about
Queer theory.
So, but just hear me out again. So the whole religious thing goes back so many thousands of years to nothing that we can actually prove. It's a thing that we teach kids nowadays that if you put beside the tooth fairy or Santa Claus would pretty much add up to the same. Now, again, you just said you believe and you fear in a God. For what reason? Because because multiple thousands of years ago, and we know that we've been around so much longer than that, but because of those stories, you fear a God that you can't prove is real. No, and again, I'm not.
Hold on. I'm not saying I believe in the Bible.
No, no,
God. I might believe in the Anunnaki God.
Of course, yeah. That's all fine and good. But again, without that word, without someone planting that word or that,
I have no idea if I come to this on my own, but we'll never know.
I know.
Because there isn't
Of course.
unless you put me in a simulation
course.
where we can play this out,
Of
where
course.
I'm the first
No,
human.
I agree with you, but is it
I
not?
don't even know if I eat the apple, Matt.
Simon, it just came to me, and now I'm thinking it's an interesting thought process.
Yeah,
It's an interesting.
It is interesting.
Like,
but I don't know the answer because we'll never know the answer.
No, we won't.
So it's
No.
But
I'm just thinking about all the things that we know. Like you talk about how history has lied to us and how all the things that we were taught as a kid, and that's just all I think about is like, how many things did I know for sure were real growing up? And then you get older and you're like, wait a minute, this is a crock of shit.
Well, the
watch
only
kids
things you know-
today. That's what I was just saying.
the only things you know for real are the things you're going to see in person with your own eyes.
and even that, I
agreement.
can't. I
no,
gotta be
not on a screen.
No.
in
Even
a
then,
person with your own eyes, you have nothing more than that.
the problem there is, dude. I don't know if you know this, but like eyewitness account is like the worst thing to bring to court.
That's just because our
No.
memories are bad.
And your recounting of it is irrelevant. It's what you know.
No, but it's
It's
even
what
that
you
becomes
know.
a fact of what you know.
I know, but what I'm saying is the three of us could experience, we could walk outside right now and experience something catastrophic, and each one of us has a totally different experience in that moment.
But that's what you know. You saw it with your own eyes. If I see something different, so be it. That's something that I know. The only things we can really know are the things that we
yeah, I get it.
hear and see and touch.
And you can forget what you know.
But even then, Simon, there's things that you've seen in your life that you know to be true that have then been like disproven. Like think about the Mandela effect. You knew you saw Berenstein.
That's not what we're talking
It's-
about with seeing someone with your eyes.
But we are, though. You
I
saw
guess you're
Berenstein Bears with
reading-
your eyes.
I guess so. Yeah.
Again, I don't know if my memory was right on that or wrong. I think that was the case. I'm saying if I went outside, Matt, and Bigfoot really existed and I could touch it, and I did with my hands, I would always know that thing existed. Do you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can't take that away
No,
from me.
I agree with that,
Until
yeah.
my memory goes, which is fine. The Berenstein Bears, I never touched the word Berenstein. I didn't even know if I paid attention to the way it was spelled when I was a kid. You know?
How about this then? Like, we know that the mind can play tricks on us. So in your scenario where you touch and feel Bigfoot, you know it's real. You know that in your heart of hearts. If I showed you a video of that incident of Bigfoot touching you, and you knew for a fact, I hadn't doctored it.
Yeah.
There's no Bigfoot there. It's just you caressing air or whatever.
Well, that's a real problem. But what do you mean? What do you mean? Did you doctor the video?
No. What I mean is just I'm going back to the thing that, like, when we all three of us see this catastrophic thing, we can all recount it differently because, again, the mind plays tricks, and especially in those moments of like high intensity, we know for a fact that, like, in general, your mind just doesn't work properly, right? That it, like, unless you're a trained SEAL and you're trained in those scenarios, most of us see things. Kamar's done already. It's fine. Let's move on. Oh.
This atheists turn to social justice. So everyone needs something.
Sure.
There's not really someone out there who's like, I don't believe anything. Like, you believe in stuff, though, man.
Yeah, you believe in stuff.
No, I'm not saying I don't. Hold on.
You don't. I know you don't go out there and do bad things because you don't want bad things to happen to you.
No, of course. I'm not saying, listen, I didn't say I don't believe in
You
anything.
discount religion as the way it's told to you. And you think it's the Big Bang, evolution, and now we're talking these things.
No, what I'm saying is that before there was ever a religion, there were good people walking around the earth trying to help other people.
You think because you are, but there may not have been.
No, I mean there were.
Yeah, Simon can at least agree with that, right? Like, before religion, if you had a kid and a family, you might not have cared about, you might have wanted to kill every other thing
Well,
else.
what do you mean religion?
So the
because
Romans.
there might have always been religion since the time that humans have existed.
The Greeks, but
You
it was-
and I are living alone in a garden or whatever, and we create lore.
It was
you know?
mythology.
Well,
It was mythology
so this is the
before
problem. Yeah,
religion.
and this is the problem. Before religion, right?
So you're talking about the Bible.
I'm talking about all religion, but you're right. Because if we go back far enough, before anything written down, before you and I are going to, like the sun. We know, for example, the sun was revered forever. It is probably, there's a good chance, we know from Zeitgeist, right? That there's a chance that the sun is behind all religion. That in reality, they just worship.
Well, it should be the biggest thing that we've ever known in the existence of anything.
Yeah, and when the lights go out at night, the world's a dangerous place. And when it comes back in the morning, oh my God, oh happy day, look at us.
To what you know, as far as we know, Simon, the sun is the biggest thing we could compare anything to. We do not know anything bigger than the sun.
Simon, here's the real question. I guess I have to once
We
again.
don't even know we can't touch any of that. It could be a dome with a
of
picture show
of course,
going
my friend,
up over our head.
but not for the show. I'm just saying, as far as you know,
We know that cars exist because we can all go out and touch them with our hands. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we also know through like physics and shit that it doesn't exist.
No,
Well,
I don't know that physics exists.
Fair enough. Because
Okay.
you can't touch it.
Because what they tell me is all fucking imaginary. It's no more true than the
religion.
Bible.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as you start adding,
But you don't believe in physics.
I don't believe in a lot of things.
because as soon as you start adding letters together,
That's the
and
problem.
multiplying letters,
So here's
not
Simon.
fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. Simon, let me reword it one more time,
Yeah,
and then,
go ahead.
and then we
Yeah,
can
and
move
then we
on.
can move on.
Okay.
Okay. I like
So
that.
let's say that you drop 1,000 people with today's, I don't want to say knowledge because knowledge is the wrong word. That includes religion and stuff. You drop 1,000 people on today's earth with the
Same IQ.
smarts and know-how, but like none of
No
the
knowledge.
That's it. So like, there's no history. There's
No
no
data.
Precisely. You know how to do stuff. We can make stuff. The world is as it is today, but we know nothing.
Okay.
Right. So clean slate. I guess again that goes to then. How do we get to God? So there's no concern of the sun.
Can I tell you how you get to God?
Please, yeah.
Something bad happens.
Okay.
Somebody dies.
and you can only get
You
an
have
answer from one
to
place.
you have to justify
and
that.
you have no one you can
somehow.
turn to. There's no one you
Fair
can
enough.
turn to. And you have to turn to something.
Your child dies. Did this happen? And you put a reason on things. That reason is something bigger than you and that child.
But isn't that just hope? Isn't that? I mean, at the end of the day, you're like you can call it God, but I think isn't it?
Maybe
hope?
enough hope creates an actual literal force. If we're talking about energy, if you're just a bunch of cells held together by energy,
you are a unicorn because you're an atheist. But you haven't fallen into the social justice warrior trap.
Well, I don't think I'm an atheist. I'm not above.
he sometimes kind of teeters on the social justice.
I was just trying to go on top of what Simon was saying there. You have to devote this has to be your cause. That's the same thing that the person sticking their hand on the painting, gluing their thing. Like, that's a complete worship, complete hope that this crazy act is going to make me a good person or whatever. And then he said in the gulag, which it really resonated with me, breaking rocks for no reason is the ultimate social justice warrior thing to do. You think you're doing something, you're building a road, you're contributing, but you're just hammering away. You're just breaking your spirit. Nothing's ever going to accomplish of that.
Hold on. You think the people in the gulag are like, thank God I'm building roads? They are not.
No, they think they are. They think they are contributing.
Okay,
I think you're misinterpreting
the point of the
story.
gulag.
Yeah.
No, the gulag is to break spirits.
Okay, sure.
The motivation of all these people being social justice warriors, doing all these things that they're never going to change anything, is the same thing. It's to break spirits.
It's such a. But can I point out something?
It's physical to psychological.
Weird comparison.
You're not going to like this.
I never do.
Yeah, I know. You are a social justice warrior.
But the wrong way.
See, you're looking at it painted in the way.
I didn't say no.
No, I know you didn't. You're
social justice.
You're looking at it painted in the way we see social justice right now. Whereas, like, he's fighting for like black people not to get killed.
No, I'm a social justice defender. That's the ops.
What I'm saying is he's fighting for social justice the way he believes the world should work. He is fighting for that. We just haven't labeled it that way. Technically, everyone is a social justice warrior. You're fighting for the best world that you think everyone should live in. Is that true?
But I don't go to my way.
That's weird. That's like me saying everyone's a fireman because we can all take a lighter and light a fire.
You're not wrong there.
That's a terrible analogy, but I get where you're going.
No, you'd have to put out the lighter.
Whatever.
No, he did. He took his finger off.
I light a candle and blow it out, and I'm a fireman. It's not quite.
And I'm not doing
fireman's
anything.
a job.
I'm talking here. My opinion.
Some social justice warriors.
But unless I believed in something so crazy, I wouldn't go to a protest. Like
you did.
Because I believed in something so crazy. And
you just said I wouldn't go to a protest.
No, he said unless I believed in something so crazy.
There's other causes that you would say, come on, well, I don't care about that. Like that's not a hill or tree I want to die on. I agree with them, but I don't.
You're missing my point, though, is like a social justice warrior goes out to whatever rally they go to. It's the same as you going to your rally, is it not?
That is exactly the same.
The point is queer theory is building social justice warriors. The whole point of it. There's not. I guess it's the Bible that makes it just for social justice defender.
It would be if there was like a certain class at university that always produced truckers.
Yeah.
Like, how about this?
They fought for it, and if you were to stop it, you're getting in the way of progress.
Like, you'd be happy if Harvard had Andrew Tate teaching a course as well.
Sure.
Well, no, but that would feel balanced to you, right? Like, then you would feel
we go to the extreme example, but yeah,
okay,
of course. And I'd love it if CBC had a conservative
Well, I mean, there are conservative universities, right?
Well, keep in mind, Jordan
Peterson.
Peterson.
There are very religious
keep in mind,
universities. They're obviously going to lean.
Those are the ones.
Jordan Peterson was a professor up until he became famous.
And now he's not. They kicked him out.
No,
so our universities are not.
Wouldn't you imagine that these social justice warrior classes only happen, like you said, at the most liberal universities?
Yeah. The only problem is that now those liberal universities are the places of the highest learning.
But I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that you find those courses in the two universities in Ottawa. I bet they're in both of those.
Yeah. Can I give you an example though? Back to your what is it? ESG, the equal
which is arbitrary and capricious. Well,
Yes.
he just said arbitrary, but we always had the capricious. It's just made up. Like there's no reason any of this is going to work.
Well, I can actually give you. I can give you an example of it not working. I'm not.
So this sounds to me first. I didn't mean to cut you off. Like regulation not working.
Yes, Kamar, I'm not for overregulation.
Not all regulation works.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement of
Yeah,
that
we're
too.
in total agreement.
I'm sorry. I'm just
There's
telling
a
you,
happy medium we
I'm
come
telling
to.
you just what I went in as a bias.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
away
that's
when
fine.
you said that.
That's fine. What was I just talking about?
But without regulation, it's anarchy.
Oh, I was going to give you the example.
ESG failing.
So MIT wanted to get more black students in. So they lowered the threshold to get into MIT for black students.
Okay.
Now keep in mind, they didn't lower it a ton, right? Like they said instead of the 99.9 percentile, you just need to be in the 97. So
Okay.
2 points at the top, right? Who gives a shit?
Who does give a shit?
Yeah, no, and that was the idea. They were like, what do we care? We'll bring them in. The problem was this, is that 2 fucking points is the make or break for an MIT student. And that what happened was the majority of these black students fell behind at an impressive rate. And their dropout rate was huge. Because again, look, if you sent me there on just a pure, like, we just want to send a Joe Schmo there to see, like, I'm going to fall behind. I'm going to fail. And it's not because they're dumb. These kids would get into a great university. They're in the 97th percentile. They're just not MIT smart. MIT is a specific. Now, if you want to do this thing where we go back, if you want to go all the way back to what you should do is improve public school systems. If you really want more black kids at MIT,
More drag queens.
Start at the public school level, get black kids introduced to science and math and all that shit. Get them.
Pay for the books, pay for the experiments.
This is what I'm saying. That's where if you want to start it there, like, listen, I was on a flight. I told you guys, my flight back from Florida was a nightmare. And it didn't even dawn on me that the guy flying it might have been the fucking 150th person in his class and only got through because he was a visible minority.
And the executives of the company got their $1 million bonus because they filled the quota.
And yeah, like, listen,
They don't care about you.
Here's the thing. I think there are certain industries, Kamar, where they can be more lax and they can say, listen, we really don't have any minorities here and maybe we should start opening. There are certain industries where it's not going to hurt anyone. There are certain industries where it's dangerous as fuck.
Yeah. Well,
and you know what's funny?
But to say that, it'd be. I bet you have good friends that it'd be difficult for you to articulate that point with, and it'll all go all right.
I've had that ugly conversation. With, yeah.
I
And
guess
Kamar,
when it comes to life and death,
I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't
You
want to
want
have this
the-
conversation in public. If someone
well,
would
you're
overhear,
having it in
No,
a
no,
massive
no.
public space.
No,
so-
but no one's going to confront me till Wednesday
Yeah, he's
about
right,
something
yeah.
I said today. I just don't want to. I would love to have this conversation with a person, but for it to escalate or whatever. Like we're lucky that we can push to the level and then bring it back. But some of these things are taboo, and that's again a warning sign.
Well, I want to say this too. It's very ironic because if you think about the connection between like Hollywood and the left wing, and if I'm going to play Kamar's whole octopus murder, Pepe Sylvia thing, American History X. So if you think
the movie?
the movie American History X, okay?
That begins your right wing. Like
No, just hear me out. So it is, if you think about it, it's like the most egregious thing ever. This guy is he's a fucking
White
he's a
supremacist.
skinhead.
extreme right.
Yeah, like to the extreme. And it all started, if you remember, do you remember where it started for him? The flashback? His dad at the dinner table has that whole speech about how he's like, I don't want some fucking firefighter who was 48th in his class trying to pull me out of a building just because he's black. I want the best guy there. And the whole thing was painted as like their dad was this fucking racist right-wing asshole, and that because of him, Edward Norton ended up being this fucking skinhead. And if you think about it, it's not that egregious a thought. It really isn't. It's not that crazy to say the person I want rescuing me from a fire, I want them to be the fittest, the best. I don't give a
It's
shit.
just not nice. It's not the nicest thought.
I don't care about
It's not
nice.
the most considerate. Of course, we're just agreeing.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's not going to end up being a black and white thing. I
Do you
can
want
guarantee you
to
that
slow
much.
clap?
No, but I'm just saying, like, listen, if the guy pulling me out of the building is 6'6" and ripped and fit as fuck and he's wearing a turban, I don't fucking care. I'm happy that he's there rescuing me. Same way, if I need fucking life-saving surgery, you better believe I don't want the guy who finished 90th in his class. I want the fucking best.
Yep, agreed.
And I don't think and I don't think people are shitty for wanting that.
But you want that with your cook. You want that with
When do you
preparing their
not
food.
want that?
Of course, you want that.
Well, no, like he said, I got to be honest, like cooking my burger, I don't care if you finish 90th at Cordon Bleu. I don't give a fuck. And that's where I'm saying that's somewhere it doesn't matter.
Well, that's why I just said it's the life and death things where that comes into play. Anything else, who gives a fuck?
I started by saying that. I said
it's interesting you brought that up because last week we were like, we don't care except when it comes to women's sports. That's the only way. That's the only time this thing inclusively gets murky. Right?
You were talking about the trans debate?
Trans women in sports.
Okay.
It's murky because we made
But
women.
now the inclusion on other things is also.
Well, no, you're not talking about the same thing at
It
all.
isn't, I guess. As
all.
I was saying, I realized.
Women are a protected class. We made women a protected class to protect them. And once you start removing those protections, it all falls apart. And that's the whole idea of letting men
Well, and
into
it's all
women's
going to
sport.
work out the way it should anyways, which is your surgeon, you're going to have girls and guys.
Yeah.
But the fireman, you're probably only going to have the guys.
Yeah.
That's how it settles. I'm.
If it's the cream rises to the top, the strongest person to pull you out of that fire, that's the way it's going to be.
If you had no bias against Trump, you would think he's hilarious.
No,
I still think he's hilarious.
Talk about Al Capone. Has more. Trump has more than Al Capone.
Listen, I watched The Apprentice. He was hilarious.
Okay, so it's just he's unstable.
He's just not the
wrong person for the job.
Wrong person for the job, and maybe not even the wrong person for the job. He could be the right person for the job. He just needed to change some things about himself in order to hit the very largest audience. Like he would have done that for his show. You know what I mean? If they had come to him and said, Donald, listen, you're alienating these people and they're a big segment for us in the viewer network. We're going to get more money if you just act this way. He would have been like, absolutely.
And also all the ticky-tack cases should be like, guys, you've tried to get him 80. Seems to be no double jeopardy with him because people are so sure, I know he's done something wrong and he's got to go down.
In
for
the
it.
big scheme of things, though, Kamar, as a guy who supports Trump, you should be overjoyed that they're trying to take him down using law. Usually
That it
they
just shows?
just
Do they just
shoot
shows?
them. Mm-hmm. This is like best case scenario for you if you're a Trump fan.
What everyone says is all this is indicative of him fucking with the intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
Back to the octopus murders. And so it's not he's a bad person, just like corporations are not actually doing ESG because they want to save the planet. It's the portrayal of him as a bad person is they.
No. Hold on.
Yes,
Hold
yes,
on.
yes,
Hold on a second.
yes.
Hold on a second. Just hold on a second. That would be true if we'd never heard Donald Trump speak. When we hear the words that come out of his mouth, nobody is painting him into anything.
No, but for so long, most of his words were edited. And people were able to say, oh, that's what he said. And then 6 months later, 2 years later, go, you know what? Actually, and I've seen it with people. And it was Michael Rappaport, which was the weirdest thing ever, said, I actually saw the unedited thing. And that changed. It was that changed him. Because on the other end, it was that turned him in the first place, that was gospel. And said, and you can't know. Anyways, I don't want to defend him or anything. I give this episode a 3. Like I don't want to sit here and fight over Trump. He is so funny. He's so funny. I just don't think he's a bad guy.
Well, I think you're going to get him for 4 more years. So.
We're going to make it that far?
Well, I don't know. Listen, they tried to shoot Reagan. They tried to shoot lots of people. You know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me if...
This is just filling time, but did you see Joe Biden said Netanyahu has to go?
No, I didn't see that.
Is that crazy?
Are you sure he said that?
Yes.
Really?
Well, they said they have to have an election. His position is not tenable. But that's like him talking about Saddam Hussein or something. Obviously, they're not going to go to the same extremes, but it's pretty wild language.
I mean,
down is up,
I don't
up
even
is
think
down.
he knows what the fuck he's saying. So somebody told him to say that.
Yeah, and he is just like all the other people who are just keeping their jobs. Forget about what's best for America or the policy. I just got to keep my job.
One of 2 things happens to Biden, as far as I can see, according to the plan to get Michelle in there. they're either going to disgrace him or they're going to make him like prove him as an invalid
and invoke one of those amendments that
to get him out to put a new candidate in. If he's an invalid, I guess it's how they get rid of Kamala.
But it's better he runs for president, wins, and then gets replaced.
It would actually make the most sense if he ditches Kamala, brings on Michelle as his VP,
and then bows out.
and then they either disgrace him or they get him out of there as an invalid.
Did you see who Robert Kennedy named to his short list of vice presidential candidates?
Oh no, I didn't. Who?
Aaron Rodgers.
Shut up.
I love that face. When you-
I can't
when
believe
you-
I was waiting.
there is Jesse the Body Ventura was the governor of fucking Minnesota. Like they're
That can't be true.
what are we doing? What are we doing here?
You think I made that up?
What are we
I
doing
don't
here?
like that at all.
You think I made that
You
up?
went and give me the A Rodgers on him.
I thought you were going to tell me somebody good. Like
No, I wanted to tell you someone that
Anyway.
would give you
Oh,
that face. I
that's
wanted that
weird.
reaction
That's-
from you.
That's weird, man.
It's all just a publicity contest.
They could
thingamajiggy.
make Joe Rogan it then, you know? And why
he's too
Aaron
busy.
Rodgers? Yeah, he doesn't want it.
Joe doesn't want it. Yeah.
21. Oh no, I give this a 2.5.
I'll give it a 2.7.
The one thing I'll also say is an addendum is that this guy is sort of like, it's this bad now because he started off with the
Dog
crazy
part,
articles, but and it seems like as he peels back the onion to how fucked up this is, it's not going the right way yet. But like a lot of you guys say, that it's just a pendulum.
Remember
and a
how you
swing.
were saying
what I
like
hope.
there isn't a Pepe board big enough?
Yeah.
You'll find a lot of guys in way different disciplines and they all like start studying something intently and it all ends back in government corruption.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
They all come back
Yeah.
to like
Some
being
government
stifled
puppeteer. Yeah.
by
Yeah.
usually the Rockefellers and the way they've implanted their systems in since the 40s or whatever. That seems to be when things really took that. This is where your queer theory comes in, Kamar. If that's not a Rockefeller idea, I don't know what is.
And the cereal companies.
And Soros and it's the dismantling of the American, it's the Yuri Vesmanov, right?
Vesmanov, yeah.
I forgot.
Besmanov?
When I
give it
tried
a
to
2, by the way.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Say what you were going to say.
I'm going to say something that I want to go back to the Black Keys talking about Haiti. Is they do not talk about any. There has to be oligarchs involved there. I'm thinking sugar magnates. Like it can't just be this.
I thought he was talking about Rodriguez.
There has to be.
That's what I thought he was talking about. Sugarman, like they made a pop star
No,
to bring down the wall.
It took too long. 2120. That Mexican OT. Correct. This guy, this guy has swag coming out his ears. If he was successful, you'd think he's a jerk because he's on the come up. He's just like he's so cool. Right?
Like he seems so fun. Yeah,
I love how there's so
he's
much.
so fly. He's so.
There's so much rap slang he brought up that excited Joe that you could tell Joe had never heard of. Where
He's
like,
got words.
He's like, man, this guy just tall for no reason. Joe was like, tall for no reason. Yes, yes. His comedic juices were like, oh my god, that's wonderful.
well, tall for no reason is great. Is that a rap?
Oh,
Thing?
I've heard that for years. Yeah,
Really?
dude was just tall for no reason.
And then right off the bat, I just want to say, Mr. Rogan, he didn't say, I'm paraphrasing, you're my dad's hero. It's so good to be here. He goes, I'd love to meet your dad.
Oh, you just met him. Yeah. It's weird though. Did he not introduce him as this is my dad?
Or does Joe not pay attention? Like, hey, it's
Yeah.
like it's just a normal thing behind the scenes.
Maybe he thought he was his bodyguard because he said he was really big. So.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Rapping since he was 4, it just wasn't able to be a thing till
No, that's not true. He's 25.
rap existed when I was 4,
Yeah.
but my parents didn't play it. Like you would have to be around that to even think that's something you could do. I bet at 4 I sang
You missed my point. When he was 4, rap. When he was 4, it was
25 years into rap. It's 50 years old rap.
yeah, it's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Rap was everywhere. What are you talking about? 20 years ago, rap was like the biggest thing since sliced bread.
Yes, but and 50 years ago there was no rap.
Yeah.
So now you have these guys that
Oh,
are
I see
just
what you're saying.
amazing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I could only think about being a rock star till I was 11, and then this thing hip hop is the kids are into it. But if you're born into, it's just sort of same thing. The kids just know it exists. Like rap is going to get crazier.
I think YouTube is more of like drummers. Drumming has been around forever. there weren't a lot of child prodigy drummers. Now,
Drumming,
yeah, like
piano playing.
yeah, all of that. My point is, if you go on YouTube right now, you could find 58-year-olds that are crushing the hardest drum sets in the world, and that just didn't happen 30 years ago.
And I bet you can find 104-year-olds that have crazy bars.
I bet, yeah.
It's just about showing off. It's a way to show off. And when you realize that you can show off, you're more likely to do something.
Yeah, of course. But he's just saying that, like, there's kids growing up with rap now, whereas when we were young, probably wasn't a lot of kids growing up to rap.
And part of his experience was his parents were very young,
Yeah.
and he was the oldest child.
Yeah.
And they were always out, so
Yeah.
he was like a grown baby.
Yeah.
He's just, and I think that's where the swag comes from. Just confidence to handle business.
Business.
Well, what movie is that where they keep talking about handling business? Oh, it's. Have you ever seen that big guy? What's his name? He does reality shows on YouTube. Oh, I can't, he's so funny. He raises siblings. I can relate to that. That does screw you up a bit.
Yeah.
Like being 12 and changing baby's diapers, you sort of get over things.
I changed hella diapers in my day.
Building resonance. When you walk past your high school, do you have a weird thing? Like, was that a lifeless building when you walked in grade 9, and then when you walked out in
Yes,
grade 12,
correct.
whatever,
100%.
a
100%. Yeah. Because so many things happened in there. It develops a life because you lived that life in there.
thing. And every single person, whatever school they go to, that's their.
Maybe it would have something like
Keepsake of an
if your
experience.
parents went to that school, you would have had a different feeling, you know, when you walk by it. Oh, that's a place my parents grew up in.
Like if we could sit you here now, not know where you're going, blindfold you and stand you outside and say, "Where are you right now?"
No, I would have no idea.
But maybe you would.
I mean, maybe I would, but I
you
don't.
would.
Maybe I would.
I
Who
don't want
knows?
to touch on this too long.
But Kamar, like, if there's a dumpster behind a bar that like a bunch of people have fucked girls behind, if you're there fucking a girl, are you feeling the energy of all the guys that have?
Maybe.
Well, Matt, this is the question.
Maybe that was the hardest boner you ever had.
If that's a little designated spot, we just had a horrible incident in our city
How did we not bring this up last week?
because it's really horrible.
No, and I just like it's crazy that it's heinous.
It's really horrible.
It's actually heinous on like a big city level.
Well, I have a big city story about the cops and criminals for the post show.
Sorry, well, let's
I
not kill.
don't
Let's
tie
just
it
for
up.
the listeners. Last week in Ottawa, was it 6 people?
6 people were stabbed to death. No, stabbed. 5 died.
Yeah, so a family of 6 were stabbed to death by a 19-year-old.
Border. He was boarding in the house with them.
An exchange student.
Yeah,
or
an exchange
whatever,
student
right?
from Sri Lanka stabbed, and 2 of the kids were like
One was
infants.
6 months old.
Yeah.
Horrible. It's
was-
a horrible story, and that's why we chose not to speak about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that house has to be torn down. I mean,
Because no one's ever going to want to
even
live
the
there.
Morphic residence, if it exists,
Do you think
for the neighbors.
If you had no idea that house had ever had anything bad in
That's
it,
what
I
I'm-
don't think you would know.
That's
That's what I'm
asking.
saying. Like 50 years ago, 3 people could have been slain down here, and we wouldn't fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
Bernstein's
exactly.
Bears Mandela effect. I am sure there was a brutal murder of on Sunnyside.
There was.
I can't find it anywhere.
No, there was.
There was.
An axe murder.
That
or
place still
something,
exists, or
yeah.
did it burn down?
They
or-
might have tore it down or whatever.
Yeah, I don't
to
know.
build those new whatevers at the end of the street, because that's where it was. It was past Fita's Pizza.
but I mean, Kamar, the dad survived. Like, he's never moving back into that fucking house. No fucking way.
No, of course not.
Does he even move back into life?
Well, that's a whole.
So
other-
terrible.
That's a whole.
So
other story.
terrible. So
Well,
terrible.
I'm just.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Let's move on.
That's why I didn't want to talk about it. But they did talk about stuff happening in places and just knowing. He said he saw just bad first. Like his parents obviously didn't get along together because his mom was a gangster. They're separated. He still knows his dad, gives him shout out. But he was like, there has to be. I just knew as a little age there has to be something good out there.
I just don't know how many.
This can't be it.
I don't know how many rappers worth their salt didn't come from.
But then
Drake.
Good example.
I said worth their salt.
But there should be crazy rappers coming out of Gaza. I've always said that, but it just doesn't translate or something.
What?
But at what point? Sorry,
Speaking what language?
coming from a hardship like
Yeah, but speaking what language?
everyone can speak English. People can sing in other languages, but they can't speak them.
You think there are a lot of English rappers in Gaza?
No, I just think the
No, that was his point. Why aren't there?
conditions are under. I don't. That was a sub point to get to the point.
I think there are probably
sorry, come
some like I agree, war-torn nations probably, but in their own language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
But at what age does a kid know that it's living in a slum in Baltimore or Philadelphia, or it's living in a mansion in Beverly Hills? At what point does it go? Because the whole time it's breastfeeding, it doesn't know. It's got to see TV or something. It doesn't know its charmed life.
Right. How do they know that there are mansions until they see mansions? Well, television.
How do you know people are so there's a magical period of innocence.
And your friends at school, because they're going to tell you things that they have that you don't.
It's school. Definitely school.
No, it's television. 100%. It's the media.
Simon, you know what dawned on me is rap specifically, most music actually, but rap specifically, because it's so heavily based in rhyme, even like a translation of a good rap is just shit. Like, let's say there was some guy in Gaza right now spitting absolute fire. If you read the translation at the bottom, it none of it rhymes. So it's just like it's just a guy talking.
I think the good rap you'd see has more like poetic value to it, even written out. And some of the lesser, you're right, is probably just going to be.
No. What I mean is like, listen, let's say I don't speak Arabic, right? So let's say I see some guy in Gaza spitting crazy. I could watch it without the subtitles and be like, oh, I can tell that he's got like good flow and cadence. I'm just saying though, the translation itself is like lost because rap specifically is
The translation from language to language.
yeah, because it's so
not
embedded.
written out in English from English.
What do you? Well, no. Even then, like if let's say I write the perfect rhyme in English, you can't then translate it into Arabic because it won't rhyme.
No, I understand. But if you write the perfect rhyme in English,
Yeah.
you've sang it.
Yeah.
You can write that out, and that should still read as a great lyric. You know what I mean? I find there are a lot of rappers that just bail shit in, and they're rhyming words with the same word.
Well, yeah, now it's
and
terrible. But no,
like,
I still go back to my point. Like because it has to rhyme. Like if I read, like if a Filipino guy rhymes every word, and I'm just listening, but I hear that it's all adding up. But then I read it because it doesn't rhyme. When I read it, it's like it doesn't have the same effect. Like
Yeah, I hear. What
I'll
you're
shoot you
saying.
twice in the back because my gun is fat. Well, no, that actually rhymes.
But
That was a terrible-
there's cool French rap.
Of course there is. He just comes back from the bathroom, just interject their school French rap.
Let's go on to your next point there. Come on.
So let's all try to give a watch of this Shogun FX.
Oh, I've been watching it. It's really good.
So you concur with Joe's opinion.
I just hate the English actor they chose to play the main character, but all the Japanese actors are amazing. Like the whole thing is incredible.
Well, that's just petty. No.
Tom Petty.
Ow. Have you guys seen the movie Terrifier?
No.
No, but that clown is so scary. I looked at his
It's
picture.
such a bad movie. No, it's so scary. It's got all those things, the low budget, like it almost seems like a snuff film. It's really crazy. There's people that want to do that.
Like, I don't like watching really scary movies like that.
There's a recently new Nicolas Cage one where I think it might be the most blood they've ever used in it's so scary. Have you seen Babylon?
Oh my God.
No, you
you
keep
ask us
asking us
every
about it.
week.
Okay, Terrifier is a crazy movie. Why we like gangsters? That's a weird thing, eh?
Is it?
Not really. Hanging out with your friends all day and not
They're
working.
living like the life kind of you want to live.
Yeah.
But
Not listening to authority.
If they got arrested,
making money.
oh yes, that's why we do like them. They're living as free as the farmer who is not.
That's right. We idolize them
in the
both, but
urban.
for different reasons.
But if they went to jail, you'd be like, well, you shouldn't have done what you've been doing. And
Well,
got
you
caught.
also say to yourself, this is why I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because the crime is, or the punishment is worse than the payout, you know?
I swear to God, Joe brought up riots spurned by George Floyd and started calling it war. And he touched something in Mexican OT's Like I never looked at it like that. Like I'm sure there's a song going to be motivated by it.
War? What do you mean?
He was saying in war goes crazy. Your politeness and stuff goes out. Your buddy just got killed. You're just shooting. A guy gets on you, you stab him. Like you crash a guy in the head. In these riots, it gets.
That's the point.
Law
he
and
missed.
order doesn't.
Oh, during the
Yeah,
riots.
he was saying
I
that
see what you're
the
saying.
raw of the whole crowd can make you do things that you maybe normally wouldn't do.
It gets like you're in this weird suspended place, and it really appealed to Virgil Rene Gazaka. I fucked it up.
There really is something to the like the mass
Mob mentality.
mass psychosis of a riot.
It's so chaotic. No one knows what's going on.
You see it all the time with kids. You have this like kid who you know who would never do something, and then they're put in this situation, and it's like they're totally swept up by the.
Well, think about soccer. Like you can have a derby between. It's the same city. I live in the same city as you. I just support Man U. You support Man City, and we're gonna fight each other. Like I'm gonna make you fucking bleed.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that was caused because there was this subculture of fighting that went along with it. You didn't see that kind of stuff happening at like CFL games or whatever.
No. But forget that. Because the English are particular about their hooliganism. But dude, go to France. The ultras there are fucking insane.
No, but I think it's built into just for soccer for some reason. It seems built into the.
Dude, Brighton played Roma in the Europa League. They had a home. It's two legs. So you play one at home and one away. And when Brighton played in Roma, the Roma ultras had a giant sign up that said the Queen gives blowjobs. And so when they went back to Brighton to play, they had a sign in Italian, a giant sign that said Totti likes pineapple on his pizza. That was like their equivalent. Dude, I thought that was hilarious. I don't know. You're not laughing. Fine.
When did it? We forgot to talk about the French Prime Minister.
Oh, and his transgendered.
Yeah, that's a great. Well, they talked about
Candace
it in
Owens
that
wrote.
episode.
Let's write that down and we'll do it in the post, Joe. He talked about, and this when I try not to envy people, but I envied him. He talked about thriving and like hooking up his friends,
Yeah.
and just being in a wicked apartment with everything you have, and his friends just being and just be like, what this is what it's about. I was watching a thing on MC Hammer last night. You remember MC Hammer,
Yep.
and you thought he's sort of just a commercial clown.
Bad
No, he was hard as
motherfucker.
His
fuck.
brother
We
was
know
a bad motherfucker. He rolled with an entourage of 100 people.
Dude, Simon and I have spoken about this multiple times on this show. We spoke about it last week, I think.
Imagine being bitch slapped by a guy wearing those pants. It must be like the ultimate fucking.
You're forgetting everyone was wearing those pants back
No, only he was wearing those pants. He made those pants famous.
Sure, but-
no other celebrity wore those pants.
You're missing my point. Is Eddie Murphy's 10 feet away from him in tight leather red pants. So it's not like, you were getting slapped by someone in weird pants back then.
I guess.
Joe's favorite rapper is Nas.
Nas, yeah,
who's coming to Ottawa. I can't wait to see it. I feel like I'm a special.
You know what's hilarious is I was like, the other day I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I get to see 50 who I've never seen before. I get to see Nas. And then I was like, who I've never seen before. And I was like, oh no, wait. Nas has played in Ottawa. I've seen Nas before. And Mary Pipe, she's like, you've seen 50 Cent before too.
Yeah, he was.
I was
here.
like, what are you talking about? She was like, he played Blues Fest a couple years ago. I was like, no, he didn't.
Really? Eh?
She was like, I stood beside you. I watched you rap
you
songs.
should have interviewed him then.
You can't just get an interview with 50 Cent.
You don't know. Once you get Tom Green, the fucking snowball starts rolling.
Oh, what if I try to get Ari in here?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's gonna be here next
I
week.
mean, you might as well. He goes on Joe Rogan. Why would he not come on?
Well, we'll get to that. Big L. They mentioned Big L.
Yeah.
Which was one of those things. He was dead. Just having that for a second. But for me, it was like there was so much mainstream rap out there that you were like, you thought you knew it. Like a kid, you thought you knew it all. And then you hear Big L on a mixtape, which is all. I want AI to go back and like do Kanye production on all these songs. Because they didn't sound great, or maybe that's part of the charm of 90s
What do you mean they
hip-hop.
didn't sound great? What do you mean?
They sounded good for the time for what they were doing.
What does that mean? I still don't know what you mean.
I watched a guy do 93 Till Infinity.
Yeah.
Like that is
An amazing
best
song.
beats of all time.
Exactly.
Is that Jay Dilla who made that beat?
No.
That's what he was saying. And he was saying part of the reason they made that beat was limitations on the technology, because the loop of the was only so long.
Yeah, because the MPC
So they,
only has a
they
certain
download
amount.
over it, stretch it out, and then pitch it out.
That's what makes it. It's just like Lee Scratch Perry with the noise. You know, you never would have got that if it wasn't for that shitty technology.
But I'm still confused. Like,
Maybe
do you think that just because Kanye has more access to stuff, it's better produced? I'm
Sorry, it
lost.
could be Max Martin.
So you'd
Max
like to
Martin produced a song.
You'd like to see remastered old mixtapes,
remasters. It doesn't have to be Kanye. That was
like 50 Cent's old tapes that never
well,
made it.
Dr.
to,
Dre is a lot further back. Like Big L was underground. He was never commercial. Like he was like Mexican OT talks about Zero, who's like just a legend of Texas. Big L was a legend of New York, and I didn't hear him until maybe a year after he died.
Well, so Big L,
he had no big success on that scale.
no. So Big L was he did 2 freestyles on Stretch and Bobbito show that made him like world famous. Like as far as in rap, his album, you're right, wasn't like the lifestyles of the rich and poor or the rich and dangerous. Didn't do that well, but dude, his 1995 freestyle is like one of the. The funny thing is, it's not even a freestyle.
He knows some stuff. You mean?
If you listen to both the freestyles, the one he does with Jay-Z and then the one he comes back and does. He has so many of the same lines. Fuck all the glamours and glitz. I plan to get rich. I'm from New York and never was a fan of the Knicks. And I'm all about expanding my chips. You mad because I was in the van with your bitch with both hands on the tits?
Because when it's good, it's undeniable. Just like we experienced when we listened to Cowboy Killer. It was like, yeah, this is good. I don't even know what he's doing, who he is. It harkens back to Old Dirty Bastard. He doesn't get enough recognition as he should. As just being... It was unconventional. It was crazy.
And then one album.
And then he died. But still, he's not mentioned in conversations. But he was a total, like, a new branch of rap that you didn't think would exist.
Maybe if he had lived longer, he'd be talked about more.
That's the problem is in rap. Like, listen, he is talked about enough. He's part of Wu-Tang. Yeah, I think Old Dirty's lore lives just fine. It's because he wasn't, like, the most lyrically prolific. He was a style. Like he was like Snoop Dogg. Like when you heard his voice, there was no like, who's this? It was all that fucking old. Like you just knew right away it was Old Dirty, and that's almost better than being the best rapper. Like
I don't think it is, but okay.
Well, I don't know, man. Snoop Dogg.
It's like It's like Be Real. You know what I mean? You always know it's Be Real, but I don't put him in the top rappers of all time.
You're missing my point though. Like I would argue that like Black Thought. Do you know who Black Thought is?
I do, yeah.
So Black Thought to me is probably in the top 5 rappers of all time. If you ask me whose career I'd rather have, Snoop's or Black Thought's, I'd rather have Snoop's career.
Yeah.
But that just goes to what I'm saying is like, unless you want to be on the Mount Rushmore of lyricists, if you care about like career and money, it's almost better to be that character, that flow, that like Snoop's not the best rapper. No one would ever say he is, right?
Well, yeah, no, I don't know.
I just don't think many people would put Snoop in the top 10. He might be your favorite. He holds a place in your heart. I love Snoop.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The best rapper is probably not the most famous, but
Precisely. I mean, Jay-Z and Nas did pretty well.
I think most cream usually rises to the top. And now there's no, if you're good and you put your shit on the internet, people are going to see it. You know?
Sure.
I mean, presumably.
I mean, we also know like our Old Dirty's a good example. Like because he was so hard to work with, that's why he didn't release so many albums. Like he shot on someone's desk.
And he was also crazy, right?
Yeah,
so
it was a bit
that's
loopy.
probably why his rap was crazy
Substance
too.
abuse.
R.A. the Rugged Man, honestly, one of the best rappers of all time. He's a problem individual. He's a fucking problem to deal with. If I was a record label, I wouldn't want him anywhere near my record label, despite how good he is.
And
he nearly fought me.
It was a huge explosion because it was like Wu-Tang, Snoop Dogg.
It was the East-West beef too.
Midnight Marauders.
Well, that's a
The
Tribe Called Quest.
East-West beef was a huge thing, right? Because it let people take sides, which is always good for a promotion. Take wrestling, for example.
yeah.
When the WWE and the WCW were competing, that was like the biggest pop you could get.
But then it got
And
violent.
then no,
Unless the CIA
then
is
they
involved.
join, and then you're just a fan of wrestling, and that's what happened with rap, right? Like you had all these people taking sides. Oh, I only like this type of rap. I only like that type of rap, and then that goes away, and you just like rap.
Well, it's ironic too because that East-West beef worked out well for both. Other than the deaths, it worked.
Well, if you think anyone died.
Okay, fine, but commercially it worked out
Like
great.
if Tupac's still alive, just living it up somewhere.
I hate to have to do this.
If you're
I
Ja
just hate
Rule.
to have to do this. So this is all 94 when all this is the Renaissance years of 90s.
The
hip-hop.
golden era.
The
is what you're
golden
looking for,
era.
yeah.
of it.
93, 94, yeah.
So 10 years later,
Yeah.
Kanye West comes out with his first album, all inspired by all this rap.
Mm-hmm.
He's a child of that, like for sure.
His first album was 2003.
2004 was a college dropout. 11 years.
Okay,
10 years
so
later.
he gets famous a couple of years after that, right?
No, I'm saying because of those things, he was inspired to be a rapper and do.
Okay,
and do what he
yeah.
did. And now it's 2024, and he has a #1 record, rap album, which is all other albums are probably like Universal helped push the sales. No one helped him do this. It really is prolific at that point.
No, you see again. You just changed the bar though. You just did this interesting thing to. There's no album sales. He doesn't have to push an album.
He is #1 on album sales.
Okay, but you're missing my point. Like, how many albums did he sell?
That's what I was gonna say. If you don't-
148,000 first week.
Yeah.
That's nothing compared to
now
what-
it's huge. Now that's huge. That is a huge
I
thing.
get
in
that
streaming
now
era.
it's huge, but
But all the competitors against him, I know I'm just sounding like his sycophant.
You are.
Have the backing of the media and everybody. No one wants him to succeed, and he still succeeded. It's crazy.
no,
No machine made him #1. A machine made Drake #1.
he is a machine.
made-
What are you talking about? All his.
he is nobody. He's independent. He's been cut off by everybody.
I know, Kamar. He is his own machine. Every time he goes out and says something egregious, it pushes the Kanye machine.
Drake
And
is
what
a
do you
machine.
think-
Jay-Z isn't a machine. None of the. If music's a
No,
competition,
but like
You're also wrong.
Drake is on like let's just make up Universal.
Yeah.
You think Universal is out there making Drake? No, Drake making fucking YouTube videos about him gambling is making Drake.
No.
Drake releasing music.
Drake
is
having to
making
do
Drake.
that is the difference between Drake and Kanye. That's what I
Also,
say.
this is where you're wrong. Kanye was pushed by the same music industry that you're shitting on. They made him.
They made him. He canceled himself last year.
Yeah.
And now he has the #1 album in the country.
Yeah, but you're acting. Okay, my point is this:
A record.
You're acting as though this up and comer from nothing. What I'm saying is he had 20 years in that industry
And I'll tell
with
you this.
them propping him up, and he was a machine for
If
them.
any of those guys come out with a #1 record now, I'll say, sit back, Kanye. I can't believe this guy did it, but they're not going to.
Who's any of those guys? What are you talking
Like
about?
Jay-Z, anybody like that?
That's a bit older than him, but Jay-Z is sort of Kanye.
If Jay-Z dropped an album right now, it goes to #1.
Some of Jay-Z's best beats are Kanye. He's just too intertwined. He's not the best rapper, but he's the most prolific artist in hip-hop ever. That's what I'll say. And that doesn't mean he's good.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next point.
Well, we're just talking about rap. Once you see it broadly, you see it always. Once you see it broadly, you
Yes,
see it.
we've done this. Yeah.
Once you develop, if you learn how to develop a good habit, you could use what you've experienced with that. That's why I was trying to.
I think what they're saying is if you've mastered something, you're able to see the like how hard it is to do that in anything.
No, but it's also the steps. You can then say, how did I get to this point here?
To master it, you have to
and then
develop a habit.
And then you can get rid of all the fat that got you there in the first
Yeah,
place.
just because you're great at one thing doesn't mean you're going to be great at another, no matter how much you work at it. You know what I mean?
No, but I will say that the people that I know that are really great at something are usually then very proficient at multiple other things.
Really? I find the opposite. I find that when people are really good at one thing, they focus so much attention on that thing that other things they're completely useless at. So I really think it just depends on the person, you know?
I mean, off the top of my head, like Drastic is someone I think of who like just anything he picked up, just immediately really fucking good at. Now, maybe he's one of those people who picked up other things, was terrible at them, and then just never did them again. I don't know, but like he was really good at skateboarding, incredible fucking DJ. Like taught himself piano over the last couple of years. Like, I don't know. There is something to it.
Once you see it broadly, you see it always. Band cycles. He loves rock.
Yeah, he was worried it was dying. I don't really get that.
I think Machine Gun Kelly tried to reinvent punk
Well,
rock.
what
or
was
something,
the
didn't
last like rock album that went big?
I don't think
or Rockstar that went big.
I don't think that's the point. I think look, genres rarely go away. Like, what was the last music genre that was?
No, fair enough. But answer that question for me. Like, what was the last big rock band that?
Oasis, I say.
Well, hold on.
No Coldplay.
Let me ask you a question. What band on earth right now is charging like $2,000 a seat for their residency in Vegas?
U2. The worst band in the world.
That-
and I love
that's-
U2.
No,
And
no,
I
but-
love U2.
But that speaks to my point.
That's
Like,
an old band.
I don't think that matters.
I just asked you what recent band. That's the
Well, I could find you a recent rock band that's gone number one. That's all you're looking for.
no, but like that's made an impact in the world. The same way, like
But you can't do that. When the Rolling Stones first came out, they didn't make a huge impact. It took years to become the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I wonder when it became a household name, or a song like Angie or Sympathy for the Devil was just the standard.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's, so too, 93 Till Infinity is just a sound, is just a vibe that is in. You play it today to someone, it's used for other freestyles and stuff. Certain sounds can always be made along the way.
Sure, but my point too is like 93 Till Infinity is a good example. When that song came out, it banged. It was great. Everyone was like, this song's sick. No one knew it would last the test of time. There's a million songs you hear that you're like, oh, this song's incredible, that you've forgotten about. Some
Did you know it was 92 Till Infinity? But the album would come out.
gosh, that's
so
hilarious.
They
That's
changed
so
it.
funny. That's so funny.
it was 92 till infinity.
Because that's when they wrote it. They must,
93 till infinity rhymes. Are you sure?
A plus wrote it.
no, Simon's right though. 93 till infinity.
There's no way it
He
wasn't.
might
supposed
start
to be
91.
that.
This is the urban legend.
I mean, either that 91 to infinity doesn't
No,
rhyme either.
then
They
why
must have
would
been
they make
terrible
that
rappers.
rhyme? It's a terrible rhyme.
And he
points.
he
Nice pickup, Simon.
he listened to an album that DJ Premier sampled from,
Yeah.
or he just found it. It's one of those.
When I was a kid, hieroglyphics, like that was like the more underground shit. Of
course,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
West
Exactly.
Coast
Well,
Underground.
this guy, sir, do you remember Casual? You remember Casual.
Everybody
Casual's
in
part of the
that
fucking
crew.
high road.
This
Del
guy
the Funky
reminds you
Homo
of Casual
Sapien,
in some of the songs, but Casual was the best. He was like, of Hieroglyphics was the squad, but it seemed like Casual just knew something. He had the most swag of everyone.
I don't know, man. I like Dell the most.
That was a little weird.
Del was my favorite. What? So the 93 until infinity.
We're
was
talking about the
Mischief.
superheroes.
That's
Souls of Mischief. Right.
So yeah, Kanye or someone, Drake should re-release all their songs so they get.
Do you remember the
publishing for it.
Grave Diggers?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
RZA.
That's RZA.
Oh, that's RZA?
Yeah.
Oh
no
my God.
way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You could have RZA as
His first project.
Is it,
Oh, that totally makes sense.
Isn't it
Yeah.
RZA and
Whoa,
Onyx?
whoa. What do you mean it's his first project? They were a band.
The Grave Diggers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
They had that one album.
But
yeah, and
one
I'm pretty
real-
sure that came out
real
before.
banger.
I think that came out before
Wu-Tang.
36 Chambers.
It
yeah.
came out before Wu-Tang
That's
for
what I
sure.
just said. Yeah, and you just looked at me like
Oh
I was
no, that's
all,
what I mean. When I liked it, I hadn't heard Wu-Tang.
One of the guys was from Onyx, though.
maybe not Sticky Fingers. Who's the other guy?
I think it was Sticky Fingers, the bald guy.
No, that's not Sticky.
Have you ever seen the movie? What the fuck is it called?
No, that is
Something-
him, Sticky Fingers. The other one's Fredro Starr. That's what I was thinking of. Sorry. Yeah.
They're in an RV. They get stuck in the hood. The soundtrack is all rock bands with rap stars. And it's like Sonic Youth with Del the Homo Sapien and
What?
Dinosaur Jr.
Judgment
with,
Night.
Judgment Night, thank you.
I don't remember that.
You've never.
No.
Dude, some of the songs on that album are bangers. That song Falling, do you know that song? Falling.
No.
That's
Save
De La
yourself.
Soul and Teenage Fan Club.
Yeah.
It's
There's
really
there's
good
a
song.
couple of bangers on there.
Dinosaur Jr. and Dell.
And
That's actually
yeah.
one of my favorite.
Yeah. It's a
Dell
crazy.
songs.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Black Keys, this is probably like 10 years ago now, maybe even 15. Dame Dash of Rockefeller Records.
Yeah.
He, I guess one night, all the interns at Rockefeller were all excited they were going out to see the show. And Dame Dash inserted himself and was like, who y'all excited to go and see? I'm coming. And they were like, yeah, okay. So they brought him to see the Black Keys. And then he went backstage and was like, I don't know if you guys know who I am, but like we're working together. And they were like, okay.
The Black Keys, like we were just on Joe
Yeah,
Rogan.
yeah.
Okay.
And so they did an album called Black Rock where Dame Dash got like a bunch of Rockefeller artists to go in. It's actually it's a decent album.
Well, I bet you anything that Mexican OT and the Black Keys will do something together.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
They both.
Well, I was
did
hoping.
Yeah.
I was hoping Joe would steer her more in a Susan Santo direction. And could like
Try to
do you
prop
remember
her up.
Eminem and Dido? We could do that again.
Imagine just becomes like his side piece.
It's hilarious.
I'm sort of
Suzanne
getting
Santo.
tired here. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. There is something about listening to music in a car.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing in the world.
for
There's music
sure.
in the headphones. There's music in a club. There's music at outdoor concert, and there's music in a car. And
Music in a car, I think it's because you can like speed up according to the, it's got.
and you're heightened, like Joe said.
In the summer, I honestly will just at night sometimes just go and drive around the country for an hour, just blasting.
I mean, that's
old
where
Jay
I listen
Dilla
to
or-
all my music is in the car.
A dream
If I listen to 5% music in my life, it's all
Okay,
in the
gotcha.
car.
or at a cottage.
No, he doesn't. No,
Sorry.
he just stares up
I
at the
listen to
sky at a cottage.
podcasts at the
A
car.
dream is 8 seconds at most.
That's
Well,
what
Mexican
he
OT said that.
He's not
No,
a
but it's
scientist.
I heard a
Probably-
guy.
no, it's-
I heard a guy on
it's
Survivor.
probably
it's
true. That's what
it's true. Like a salvia. Ari thought he had a life.
But how do you know that?
I don't know.
We sleep for like 12 hours
But-
of the night. Maybe each dream is an hour long. Maybe it's 12 hours.
I think you have
long.
100 dreams in an hour.
You're just hoping that's
and you then edit them together as a whole story,
Oh, I like that. That's why it's so fragmented.
and it's hard to remember.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And then he goes, "What do you think about aliens?" Doesn't skip a beat. Says, "Space is a construct. They're in the water." Next question. Do you not know anything? Which it could be.
Well, no,
We got
that-
it.
listen,
Kamar,
that
we're at like 4 hours.
that
here.
makes the most sense.
I got
Yeah,
hit
let's
on
just
by a
end
gay
it.
guy at a gay gym. Whoa. What are you doing at a gay gym? I respect you, Mr. Rogan, but just a second. What were you looking for?
Yeah, that's where you can tell Joe isn't very well versed in the rap world. Just keep the gay shit. Like they're like, we don't need this.
If you need any more of an indication that pussy runs the world, I serve you Exhibit C, as in the Costa Concordia. Do you remember that cruise ship that tipped over?
Oh yeah, the one. Yeah.
That was because the captain was hitting on a woman.
Yeah.
This is the Italian one.
Yeah, the one where
There's an
the
Italian
Well,
ship
he
happened
was
in Greece.
super drunk.
No, he was chasing a skirt. This is the power of pussy.
listen. Once you say drunk, you shouldn't assume someone
right.
was chasing some
Let's,
pussy.
I
let's
love
wrap
this guy.
it
I
up.
give this a 4. I felt cool for
can't get
listening
a
to it,
4.
and like you said, it was interesting. Joe was enamored with him too. Like I really like. You're really cool.
Well, Joe's 53 and he gets to hang out with a 25-year-old rapper. Like Joe wears a fanny pack and is 5'3".
But this guy is the exact same as on the level as say Zach Bryan, just a different genre of music.
Sure.
in the same sort of place.
I'll give it a 3 because I like Mexican OT.
I'll
I
give it
wanted
a
more.
3
I
as
wanted
well.
more out of it. And
Yeah, I wanted to hear more stories about him fucking growing up in the hood and shit of wherever he's from. And
Yeah, just more of the
I've heard
come
him
up
on
even.
some other podcast talking about the come up, and it's just better.
yeah.
But it was fine. It was good. He did a good job. He was calm, relaxed,
He's act like he'd been there.
acted like
Not
he'd been there
bitty at all.
before.
Just ready to go.
Even said it was weird a couple of times because he actually watches the show to think
Yeah.
about. But that would make sense. I would feel weird too.
Correct.
All right, that's it. That's a marathon episode. There's no way you made it this far. There's no way
No,
you're hearing my voice
we didn't
right
even
now.
make it this far.
Yeah. But if you are still here, maybe you're willing to go a step further, you can support the show by heading over to patreon.com/JREE podcast. You can support the show for as little as $5 a month. For that $5, you'll get a bunch of shit. The post show, old episodes, whatever. That's it. Thank you to our sponsors. There will be links in the description. Be sure to check them out. We hope you have a great week. We hope you enjoy your weekend. And as usual,